Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Awakening failed. It doesn't matter, I am a cultivator. Chapter 51. Hee hee. That loser who can only hide in a turtle shell and dare not come out as the Su Chen who beat you. Yang's Noodle House. The LCD TV hanging on the wall was broadcasting the mock exam of No. 1 middle school in real time. There were 5 or 6 people sitting in the noodle shop. One of the people who dressed the most like a successful person was naturally Manager Liu. Lao Yang sat opposite Manager Liu, with a stack of contracts written in black and white between them. Now, when they saw Su Chen hiding in the protective fortress on Arena number 3, afraid to come out despite being yelled at by Zhongsan and Li Si's people, they couldn't help but laugh out loud. Huang Mao also scratched his head and said with a happy and flattering smile on his face. Manager Liu, we are just little gangsters, how can we compare with the top students from No. 1 middle school? The way he looked 2 days ago, I thought he was a dick, but I didn't expect him to be a loser who failed to awaken. You can bully us little fools and get a sense of accomplishment. As soon as you get to the ring, your true colors will be revealed in an instant. When Huang Mao and the other 3 said these words, they couldn't help but grit their teeth in secret hatred. When they were being taught a lesson by Su Chen 2 days ago, they felt that he must have awakened some incredible professional talent because he was so young and had the strength of a martial artist, so they ran away without even daring to say a harsh word. But he didn't expect that Su Chen was a waste who failed to awaken. You can really pretend. I should have known that he was a loser who failed to awaken, but at that time we should have called the boss to come over and teach him a lesson to help us vent our anger. Huang Mao and others said viciously. Ha ha. Manager Liu also chuckled. He turned to look at Lao Yang and pushed the contract forward, saying with a mocking tone. Lao Yang, please sign the contract first. What's so cool about a loser who can be eliminated immediately in a melee? You wouldn't put any unrealistic hopes on him, would you? That's ridiculous. However, Lao Yang ignored him. He didn't make any move, and his eyes were still on the TV live broadcast room aside, unable to tell what he was thinking. This gesture made Manager Liu frown. Lao Yang, you. Bang. Suddenly, a deafening sound of glass breaking sounded on the TV. Lao Yang's half-clenched fist on his lap tightened violently. Manager Liu suddenly turned his head to look, his face changed instantly, and he cried out in unbelievable shock. What? The broken protective barrier is like pieces of broken glass, reflecting the colorful luster under the sunlight. Ding 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 ding. The fragments fell on the ring with a crisp sound like rain. Under this chaotic rain of glass, Su Chen stood up like Liu, and withdrew his palm from Zhongsan's face. Li Si fell from the air. Under the gorgeous glass rain, Su Chen raised his index finger to his lips and said with a smile to the astonished people. Sorry, you guys are playing too slowly. I'm going to help you. It doesn't matter. What? Gangzi and Sun Chang, good friends who were anxiously entangled, widened their eyes at the same time. How could? Zhao Xiaoya's beautiful eyes were blank. This is impossible. The muscular man, the bald man, and other students who joined the ranks of besieging Su Chen along with Zhongsan and Li Si were all shocked. Their eyes widened and they looked at this scene in disbelief. In their opinion, Zhao Gang's protective fortress was as hard as a tortoise's shell, although a crack had been cut through it through their efforts. But if you want to completely break the barrier, you need at least several hundred more cuts. But the reality is that the entire barrier collapsed under Su Chen's blow, and the 2 closest ones, Zhongsan and Li Si, even more he was killed instantly. How can this be? Not to mention whether the protective bunker was almost unable to hold up or was destroyed so easily by Su Chen, Zhongsan and Li Si alone are not small characters, okay. Both of them have a health value of 11.0 and a combat power of 150. A health value of 11.5. Combat power 160. You must know that they are on this stage. There are only 20 or 30 players at most who can reach a health value of 10.0 or above. Most of them are a group of players whose health value is 7.0 or 8.0 and whose combat power hovers around 70 or 80. The 2 of them, Zhongsan and Li Si, are both masters of swords and swords. Their combat power of over 150 is already quite impressive on their stage, ranking among the best. But he was instantly killed by Su Chen, who didn't even have a profession. He fainted like 2 fish without even saying a word. How is this possible? Zhongsan and Li Si are not some idiots. Could it be that Su Chen's health value has also exceeded 10.0, reaching the martial artist level? Someone in the crowd made an incredible guess. Even though I haven't awakened any profession, I was able to increase my health value from 9.8 to 10.0 within 10 days, breaking the bottleneck of martial artist and entering the rank 1 field. Such a talent can be called a martial Dao genius that comes only once in 10 years. In the live broadcast room, Brother Dong answered everyone's questions and solved their doubts. I just said that this kid is weird, you didn't believe it at that time. Fat Tutuo, who was carrying a camera, recalled the incident of being dragged around by Su Chen on the playground. The fat on his face trembled, and he rectified his name. One sentence. It's really unbelievable, Shaoli murmured in disbelief, then returned to speaking professionally to the camera. The fallen boy is actually a martial Dao genius who appears only once every 10 years. Now we have entered the realm of martial artist. It seems that the development of things is not as smooth as we thought. We don't know what twists and turns there will be next. Please wait and see. 666. No wonder he killed Zhang San and Li Si at the same level so easily. It turned out to be martial Dao, a genius we only saw in 10 years. I have long heard that although martial Dao has many limitations, the cultivation speed is slow, and the upper limit is still low, it has an almost dominant advantage in close combat. The strong people who master martial Dao have the ability to fight beyond the level. Today, see, it's a different response. Even if Su Chen has made a breakthrough, his current health value should be a little over 10.0, but he can beat Zhang San and Li Si, who have higher health values than him, to the point where their parents don't even recognize him. It's really worthy of him. Martial Dao, the genius who emerged in 10 years, is not called Su Chen in the past. No. One middle school for nothing. Although the Tigers are old, they still have 3 points left. It seems that today's battle can be a little more interesting. Do you think it's possible for Su Chen to persevere to the end and get the first place in the mock exam like he did in the past? Su Chen's sudden display of power made many viewers in the live broadcast room excited, and some even began to discuss the possibility of Su Chen winning first place again. But this is impossible, a netizen nicknamed Brother Understanding, in the live broadcast room poured cold water on it and analyzed it coldly. His health value was only 9.8 10 days ago. Now even if he breaks through martial artist in 10 days, his health value will only be around 10 points at most, and his combat power will only be between 110 and 130. There is not much advantage for these students. Just now I was caught off guard to take down Zhang San and Li Si so easily. Now I think it will not be so easy to defeat opponents of the same level so easily. After all, he is just a martial arts practitioner, not a martial Dao and a professional. And there are limits to martial arts training. The martial Dao talent that comes out every 10 years is not enough to make up for the huge shortcoming that he has not awakened his career. Not to mention the possibility of winning the first place. All the opponent needs to do is rush forward and Su Chen will be eliminated before long. If he can last in this arena for even 1 minute, he will be considered awesome. Brother Understanding's analysis was well-founded and convincing, and the carnival-filled barrage in the live broadcast room subsided. That's right, a good tiger cannot defeat a pack of wolves, let alone who is the wolf and who is the tiger. It remains to be discussed. Even if Su Chen breaks through to the martial artist realm, he is still just a martial arts practitioner. No matter how strong he is alone, can he still be stronger than the combined strength of everyone in the ring? The brilliance at this moment is just a flash in the pan before the curtain comes to an end, just a flash in the pan. Brother understands that he is indeed a brother who understands. His words are really to the point. I admire you. The barrage in the live broadcast room became a bit shaking and sighing, not looking forward to it. Miss Ruizu, you came to watch the battle regardless of the baptism of the divine liquid of light, just for such an ordinary man. And on one side of the viewing platform, next to Bai Ruizu stood a blonde gringo wearing platinum armor and pointing at Su Chen with a foreign accent. Gringo named Jack. It was the captain of the escort team assigned to Bai Ruizu by the light cult. At this moment, Jack looked at Su Chen with a hint of dissatisfaction and hostility in his eyes. He originally thought that a young man who could make Bai Ruizu postpone the baptism of the god of light and come to the scene to cheer for the ceremony would be some kind of peerless prodigy in Kyushu, but he did not expect that he would turn out to be a loser who failed to awaken. and the so-called martial Dao talent that is circulated around, and the martial Dao talent that is seen only once in 10 years, in Jack's opinion, are simply rubbish and not worth mentioning. The professionals in this world are the strongest. What kind of Kyushu Kung Fu is rubbish in front of a truly powerful professional awakener like me? Miss Ruizu, it's too boring here. Let's go back quickly. He will lose soon. The protector is still waiting for you to return to the divine liquid pool for baptism. No, he won't lose. However, Bai Ruizu still stood where she was, with no intention of leaving. Won't lose. Jack frowned. Miss Ruizu, you should be able to tell that as long as those people swarm him, he will be eliminated soon. No, he told me that he will be number one this time. Bai Ruizu stood there with a soft voice, looking at Su Chen on the ring with shining eyes, full of trust. This made Jack frown deeply. Goddess Xiaoya is right. Let's all come together. No matter how strong Su Chen is, he is only one person. How can he beat us all? With so many of us, he will die if we pile him up. We've been apart for 3 days. We are now noble awakened ones, not the fools of the past. Su Chen is just an idiot in front of us. On stage 3. Although Su Chen's sudden outburst was a bit unexpected, in the past 10 days since his career awakening, the muscular man, the bald man and other classmates have accumulated a lot of confidence and strength through continuous dungeon upgrades. Coupled with the fact that there were so many like-minded companions on the scene who were willing to attack Su Chen, even if Su Chen was so powerful just now that they didn't feel like they had taken a step back, now that they are united, they don't feel like they will lose at all. I can't imagine it. I can't even imagine a future where we lose. Made sneak attack me. Su Chen, you can only use these Gosling tricks now. Not far behind Su Chen, Zhang San and Li Si, who had already fainted, stood up again after being treated by Zhao Xiaoya's holy light technique. One of them touched his face, the other covered his stomach, with a ferocious smile on his face. Su Chen didn't expect us to be able to stand up, right? This is the power that belongs to us professionals. So what if you break through to the martial artist realm? Just a martial arts practitioner. A pure-blood martial artist in the same realm as a scumbag in front of us professionals. Brothers get together and beat him up. Under the leadership of Zhang San and Li Si, muscular men, bald men and other top-notch awakeners flew towards Su Chen with menacing momentum and agile movements, as oppressive as beasts hunted by a team. Today, these people, I vow to pull Su Chen down from his position as a god, step on him and humiliate him severely, even with my mouth. Brother Chen, run quickly. Although just now, Zhao Gang was stunned by the fact that Su Chen instantly killed Zhang San, Li Si, and the barrier he set up with one blow. But now I have realized that the reason why my barrier was broken by Su Chen was entirely because Zhang San, Li Si and others had already worn down the durability of the barrier long ago, so it was broken so easily by Su Chen. And Zhang San and Li Si were killed instantly by Brother Chen only because they were accidentally attacked. Now that Zhang San, Li Si and others have been treated, they have obviously become serious. Coupled with the bald muscular man, so many people are besieging them. My brother Chen is probably going to be in trouble next time. Zhao Gang was so anxious that he wanted to rush over to join Su Chen to protect Su Chen, but was blocked by Sun Cheng, who was dozens of meters away and unable to get close. He had no choice but to shout anxiously. Brother Chen, run. Hold on for a while, brother, and I will go over to protect you right away. Brother Chen, if it doesn't work, just surrender. Don't be humiliated by them. You're a brother and I didn't protect you. Quack quack. Su Chen is a man, so don't run away. Today I will let you know how powerful your third brother is. The sounds of gay friends urging them to flee, the shouts of Zhang San and Li Si, and the voices of spectators from all directions, were all noisy and could be heard. On the stage, Su Chen's eyes were deep. He looked at the people who were besieging him from all directions, his eyes flickered, and the corners of his mouth turned up in an angry arc, and he chanted. If the tiger does not roar, people will suffer from its diseases. The dragon doesn't sing, it makes fun of the shallow water. You are a bunch of ants, today I will teach you to recognize the reality, what is it like to shake a tree. Su Chen's words were clearly transmitted to the crowd besieged from all directions, and the students from all sides exploded in an instant. Mad. I have read novels for so many years and I have never seen the protagonist call someone else an ant. Therefore, if Su Chen is so arrogant, he must not be the protagonist, but just a loser who failed to awaken. Let's go up and kill him together. Zhang San, Li Si and others who came up couldn't stand it anymore. They used to mock Su Chen, using words like trash and scum, but Su Chen started reciting poems. This Su Chen deserves to be the first in the cultural class in the past. He can pretend to be so educated. I, Zhang San, will not allow such an educated person to appear in No. 1 middle school. Feeling that he couldn't keep up with Su Chen in a verbal sparring, all the students from the 4 directions, Zhang San, Li Si, the bald muscular man, etc. also gave up the part of talking harshly before the battle. When they were still about 10 meters away from Su Chen, their feet suddenly hit the ground, and their bodies suddenly accelerated like arrows leaving the string, and flew towards them. Since we can't win a war of words, then let your strength speak for itself. I would like to see which of us can make whom realize the reality, who is the earthworm and who is the big tree. With a sneak attack, we'll knock you out. Su Chen takes one move from me and jumps with 2 swords. Itabori Yai, Heavenly Fist, Bullet Iron Head Kung Fu. It's not good. It's not good. Xiaoming, your brother was beaten in the ring by a group of people because he was too arrogant and outraged. Baiyun No. 2 Middle School. In Baiyun City, the 9 high schools compete with each other. Today is not only the time for the mock exam of the number 1 middle school, but also the time of the number 2 middle school mock exam. But the difference is that it is also a mock exam. Compared with the 4 hours of bullshit speeches by the principal and teachers of No. 1 middle school, the opening ceremony of number 2 middle school is obviously more popular among young people. In short, there are young and beautiful cheerleading girls dancing. At this moment, the cheerleaders were changing room. Putting on a blue and white cheerleading uniform, Lin Xiaoming revealed her fair flesh, slender belly button, and snow-white legs. She looked innocent and cute. Lin Xiaoming, who had a baby face, straightened her skirt, picked up 2 cheering flowers, and was about to prepare going out to join the other cheerleaders for the dance. The door of the dressing room was pushed open with a bang, and Xiao Yu hurried over. Her face was red and she was dripping with sweat from running. Her anxious tone shocked Lin Xiaoming's heart, and she dropped the cheering flowers in her hand. She shook Xiao Yu's shoulders and asked worriedly, "What's going on with Xiao Yu? What happened? Why was my brother beaten by a group of people? How is he doing now?" I don't know either. I was just bored waiting in the back seat of the cheerleading team, so I took a look at the live broadcast room. When I saw a group of people trying to beat up brother Su Chen, I hurried over to find you. I don't know what's going on now. Xiaoming, please open the live broadcast room and take a look. Your brother has not awakened his profession, maybe he has already. My best friend Xiao Yu choked up when she said this. Yes. Xiao Yu's reminder made Lin Xiaoming react. He nodded, wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes, and hurriedly took out his mobile phone, flipping through his fingers to find the live broadcast room of the number 1 middle school mock exam. He was extremely anxious. Worried prayer. Su Chen, please be sure nothing happens to you. If something happens to you, I will. Bang, bang, bang. Boom. 4 bangs came from the live broadcast room of the number 1 middle school mock exam. In the screen, I saw a wretched man holding 2 swords, trying to chop Su Chen from top to bottom, but Su Chen grabbed his wrist, casually swung it to the side and hit another wretched man who wanted to draw his sword. The 2 men smashed into each other and rolled dozens of meters away. At the same time, there was another muscular man in a vest who looked to be in his 30s or 40s. He took this opportunity to punch Su Chen in the head. Su Chen turned his head slightly and put one hand on his fist, destroying his center of gravity, followed by a knee to the abdomen, and the muscular man immediately stood up to ascension. The bald man behind him wanted to take advantage of this opportunity and hit Su Chen in the back. His speed was so fast that it was like a human-shaped bullet, leaving only an afterimage. However, Su Chen arrived first. He slightly turned half of his body and avoided the impact of the bald man's bullet. At the same time, he slashed the bald man on the back of the neck with a knife. The bald man instantly lost consciousness, fell to the ground. The whole process was as smooth and elegant as a butterfly walking through a flower. It was completed in one go and was full of the artistic sense of fighting. After killing these 4 people in just one moment, more students came to surround and suppress Su Chen. From all directions, like water hitting a pillar, the momentum is extraordinary. But no surprises. Bang bang bang. A series of dull thuds were heard in the live broadcast room. Lin Xiaoming could only see these classmates who rushed towards Su Chen one after another. They flew out one by one like a goddess scattering flowers, and fell on the ring like garbage thrown from high altitude. They were eliminated. Out. Forehead. The appearance of this scene made Lin Xiaoming's beautiful eyes turn red, and she was ready to cry. Her face was slightly condensed, and she turned to look at her best friend and asked, "Xiao Yu, is this what you said, that my brother was beaten by a group of people? This is because he beat up a group of others by himself." Ah. Faced with Lin Xiaoming's strange look, her best friend Xiao Yu also felt a little embarrassed on her face. She didn't expect it either. The meaning of gang fight can also be interpreted as one person beating up a group of others. The perspective returns to Baiyun No. 1 middle school again. On stage 3. Now, Zhang San, Li Si, Xiao Er, Wang Wu, and Pockmarked all had their noses and faces swollen, and they were all beaten out of their trouser pockets. They looked at the crowd surrounded by the crowd in the center, but they seemed to have turned on the unparalleled mowing mode and punched a child. Su Chen looked shocked and angry, with a panicked look on his face. How can it be? How can this be? How could Su Chen be so powerful? The scene before them was unacceptable to them. As the most favored combat professionals, they were pushed to the ground and rubbed by a loser who failed to awaken during the mock exam. The occurrence of this kind of thing simply shocked their 3 outlooks. This is impossible. This is something that can't happen. They admitted that Su Chen martial Dao talent was good, his starting point was very high, and his health value of 9.8 far exceeded everyone present, but these were all things 10 days ago. Now after 10 days of training and dungeon upgrades, they are no longer the aiming they used to be. Their health value has changed from 1 and 2 points to 10 and 11 points, and from fighting 5 scum to combat power Gundam, 130,151st tier strong men. Compared to the past, their strength has undergone earth-shaking changes. In addition, there are so many like-minded and colluding companions on the scene. The 2 advantages added together should have formed a greater advantage. It should be far superior to Su Chen. It should be able to press Su Chen to the ground and rub him. But why now? Why are we the ones being pushed to the ground and being rubbed? Didn't he fail to awaken? Isn't he a waste who can only practice martial arts? Why is he still so strong? Zhang San shook his head wildly, unable to believe this fact. His eyes trembled, remembering the fear of being dominated by Su Chen in the past. It didn't matter that we were no match for him in the past, why can't we beat him now? Wow, I didn't expect it would turn out like this. I thought that under the leadership of Zhang San, Li Si and others, Su Chen would not be able to last even a minute and was beaten down by a group of people, but I didn't expect that now it's the other way around. The opponent is almost beaten to the point of being beaten. Oh my god, that's awesome. Su Chen is truly worthy of being called Su Shen. Even if he doesn't have a career, he can still fight a group of people by himself. The unexpected reversal on the stage caused an uproar in the live broadcast room, and the crowd sighed repeatedly. Made. A bunch of trash. Mages, assassins, archers. What are you doing standing outside? Assists. Hurry up and assist. Cooperate. Cooperate. What a cooperation. On the stage, Sun Chang couldn't help but cursed when he saw Zhang San and Li Si and the others looking like they were about to make Su Chen shit. He was like a senior coach who saw his team members playing shit in a game. He couldn't help but cursed, his face turned red, and he was furious and furious. Mob. A bunch of rabble. Su Chen is showing off. Sun Chang was cursing here, and opposite Sun Chang, his good friend Gangzi's eyes widened. He didn't seem to think how his brother Chen could be so fierce, but he looked at the people around him who were still pouring in. Crowd. Zhao Gang gritted his teeth, and he knew that his brother Chen was probably just brave for a moment, and he would not be able to hold on for a long time. So brother Chen, hold on. Brother, I will come to save you right away. Bang bang bang. Zhao Gang and Sun Chang continued to be entangled with each other while holding shields. And as time goes by, unknowingly, the dense crowd on arena number 3 has begun to become bustling, and the ground of the arena or the lawn under the arena are already covered with bodies. Look around. There were originally a dense crowd of 500 to 600 people, but now there were less than 100 people still standing in the ring. Ah, puff. Following Zhang San and Li Si, they were beaten to a height of 3 meters above the ground, and 10 times the amount of feces and urine flew past their ears and fell down the ring. The outermost part of the crowd. Zhao Xiaoya couldn't help but blink her eyes. She looked at the center of the battlefield, where Su Chen was swarming around like a tiger among a pack of wolves, with no one able to defeat him. Her eyelashes trembled and her face turned pale. The flat and slender body staggered back, feeling a little panicked. She unconsciously recalled her father's comments about Su Chen. Look at it, let me just say that his martial Dao talent is very good. On the viewing platform, Zhao Yu turned to Zhao Qian and said, Zhao Qian has exquisite facial features and heroic spirit. She is dressed in a tight black leather suit, and her curvy figure is fully reflected. At this moment, she is leaning on the leather chair, with a pair of slender and powerful legs on the table, overlooking Su Chen's battlefield below, responded with a faint nod without changing his expression. It's really good. Without awakening any professional talents, without the cultivation of family influence, yet he can defeat his fellow professionals with his pure martial arts. It is indeed very good to achieve this at this age. He can take on the title that comes only once in 10 years. Hatsian, are you? Zhao Yu's eyes lit up when he heard Zhao Qian's compliment to Su Chen, and he was about to say something to help Su Chen. However, she was interrupted by Zhao Qian raising her hand. Her eyes were cold and calm. She was not shaken by Su Chen's outstanding performance at all. She said coldly as if she was used to it. Uncle Zhao, I understand what you mean. But you also know. For Grandpa, he has seen too many martial Dao talents that he only sees once in 10 years. But at this level, none of our Guwu Zhao family's core prodigy can do it. So don't mention this matter again. Unless it happens once in 100 years, Grandpa will not come forward. But Zhao Yu was still unwilling to see such a good prospect buried, and wanted to fight for Su Chen again. Uncle Zhao, I haven't finished speaking yet, Zhao Qian said calmly as if he had already made a plan. With his martial Dao talent, he doesn't have the qualifications to ask me to call Grandpa, but afterwards I can introduce him to our Zhao family's martial arts gym. Although it is not that inner disciples cannot have access to our Zhao family's core skills, but it's still a way out. This. Zhao Yu hesitated for a moment. The most important thing for ancient pure martial arts schools like theirs is inheritance, and the core skills are basically not passed on to others. If Su Chen joins a martial arts school, the skills he will come into contact with will naturally only be superficial to those of ordinary people. Although in the future, based on his performance, he will be able to penetrate into the core circle of their Zhao family step by step, it will take too much time. The most critical thing about martial Dao is time. The age of 12 to 30 is a crucial prime time period. Once this age group passes, it will be difficult to achieve anything in martial Dao. The difference between the introduction into the martial arts gym and the introduction into the Zhao family is like a small branch in Heizhou and the headquarters building in the imperial capital. The difference between the two can be described as clouds and mud. Therefore, Zhao Yu's idea has always been that it would be best to directly introduce Su Chen into the core circle of the Zhao family, but now, that's all we can do. Zhao Yu sighed and nodded helplessly. Well, don't worry, Uncle Zhao, I will find a good martial arts master to take care of him. Zhao Qian nodded with satisfaction, and finally pushed out the pervert who raised his godson's sister at home. Well, you are familiar with Hatsune. I hope you will put more effort into finding a good martial arts teacher for Su Chen. Suddenly Zhao Yu seemed to think of something again. He suddenly raised his head and looked at it with a pair of eyes. To Zhao Qian. Zhao Qian, Uncle Zhao, what are you looking at me for? ... Bang. Arena number 3. Another muffled sound came. The muscular man in a black vest spit out a mouthful of blood and flew out of the ring. They are all a bunch of trash. Can't you even deal with Su Chen who failed to awaken? It's really useless. Seeing that muscular man and others had been fighting for a long time, but they still couldn't take down Su Chen. As a team battle instructor, Sun Chang couldn't help it. He shouted to Xiao'er, Wangwu and Mazi, who were still alive in the center of the war zone. Mazi, come here and help me block Zhao Gang. I'll come to meet Su Chen in person. Coming. The green cloak shines in the sun. As the most powerful combat force present, Sun Chang, the Void Commander and Internet Cafe troll, finally couldn't bear it and decided to kill himself. Sun Chang, I will not let you go over and hurt Brother Chen. Things are changing. Zhao Gang, who was standing in front of Sun Chang, shouted loudly. Although Brother Chen's strength was a bit beyond his expectation, Zhao Gang knew that all this was because the strongest Sun Chang was held back by him. Otherwise, once Sun Chang gets close to him, Brother Chen will inevitably be eliminated. So, Sun Chang, if you want to hurt Brother Chen, go through me first. Sacrifice one blow. Zhao Gang roared angrily, and his momentum surged. He held up his big shield and rushed towards Sun Qiangfei, like a golden chariot rushing forward, powerful and extremely fast. Zhao Gang, you forced me to do this. After fighting here for so long, Sun Chang had already gotten angry with Zhao Gang, and now he saw that he dared to hinder him. Sun Chang was also angry. Okay, since you want to die, I will help you. Watch me eliminate you first and then beat you, Brother Chen. Sacrifice one blow. Sun Chang roared, and a surging green light erupted from his body. The energy rolled, and the small shield in his hand emitted a dazzling luster. He also ran with the shield in hand, and released his ultimate move. Under the surging energy, like a green chariot, it hit Zhao Gang head-on. That's right, a single blow is a skill common to all shield professionals. Using a shield as an attack method and injecting all your body's strength into it, you can reach a state of extreme speed in an instant. The faster the speed, the greater the power. The description may be different and complicated, but to put it in a simple way, it is to hit forward with a shield. Bang, bang, bang. Huge collisions continued to sound in the ring. Sun Chang and Zhao Gang collided like two high-speed cars. The huge power stirred up dust all over the ground, making everyone look at him. But never stop. In the east of the arena, there is no one in the west corner, and on the side edge, the positions of the two people are still flashing out after the first collision. Every time they flash, there is a huge roar between the two people. Once, twice, 3 times. The two people seemed to be trying to decide the winner, and they kept fighting head-on with sacrificial blows. And under the constant collision between the two people, the shields in both men's hands had cracked lines, their faces turned red, and blood even spilled from the corners of their mouths. If this continues, both sides will suffer losses. But now, the two of them have no way out. Today, my shield hero Sun Chang, in the name of being number 1 in the ring, will punch Zhao Gang, step on Su Chen, and start my own path to becoming a king and win the goddess Ruizu back. I can lose, but before that I have to eliminate you, the biggest threat, for Brother Chen. The two looked at each other firmly, ignited a blazing flame, and shouted at the same time. Sacrifice one blow. ×2. Boom. The roaring sound resounded in the ring. There were the sounds of collisions between Sun Chang and Zhao Gang, as well as the sound of punches and kicks coming from the center of the ring, as well as the sounds of classmates flying upside down and hitting the ring. Loud, noisy, chaotic. Why is this happening? Why is this happening? And in this chaotic place, in a quiet area where no one seems to be paying attention, Zhao Xiaoya's hair is messy and she keeps mumbling in her mouth. She looks at the center of the ring with her eyes and can knock people away with a punch or a kick. The majestic Su Chen gradually became bloodshot, twisted and angry. Why is this happening? Su Chen, why are you still standing there? You are a loser who failed to awaken. You are a martial Dao genius who is only seen once in 10 years. You are not worthy of me. I am not wrong. Holy light technique, healing light. Zhao Xiaoya, with disheveled hair, suddenly screamed like a female ghost weeping blood, and her eyes full of resentment were suddenly locked on Sun Chang and Zhao Gang, who were dozens of meters away in front of them. Sacrifice one blow. The contest between Sun Chang and Zhao Gang seems to be coming to an end here. At this moment, blood is spilling from the corners of their mouths, and the shields in their hands are full of cracks, like two cars that are about to be broken into pieces. But even so, the two of them still kept the gas pedal full. They collided with each other without retreating. The only difference from the previous times is that this time the two were about to collide. A ray of milky white holy light fell from the sky. It fell on Sun Chang. In an instant, Sun Chang felt his spirit shaken, his injuries healed, and he gained a touch of strength out of thin air. Bang! Under the collision, he only took 3 steps back this time, but Zhao Gang was knocked more than 10 meters away by him. Sudden changes. Let Sun Chang turn his head. Sun Chang, hurry up and get rid of Zhao Gang. Then go deal with Su Chen. Zhao Xiaoya shouted in a stern voice. Sun Chang seemed to understand something. A ferocious smile suddenly appeared on his lips, and he responded excitedly. Good, Zhao Gang, your end has come. Sacrifice 1 blow. Poof. Zhao Gang, who was knocked down on the ring, spit out blood and glanced at Zhao Xiaoya, who was constantly giving Sun Chang blood treatment on the opposite side, and then glanced at Sun Chang, who was rushing towards him without giving him a chance to breathe. He gritted his teeth, held up his body, roared and used one last move. Sacrifice 1 blow. Bang! As the last gorgeous fireworks shattered in the ring, good friend Gangzi was completely knocked out of the ring. Ha ha ha. After finally getting rid of Zhao Gang, Sun Chang laughed happily. Zhao Gang is dead. Su Chen, you will be the only one left next. He turned his head and spoke with a ferocious look on his face, but suddenly realized something. Bang! As Su Chen kicked Mazi out of the ring, Sun Chang suddenly discovered that there were only a few people standing on the huge ring with a radius of 1,000 meters except for him and Su Chen. A gentle breeze blew. Empty. Su Chen wiped his hands with the clothes of the buck-toothed brother who was still standing in front of him, then threw the buck-toothed brother under the ring as if throwing away garbage. After taking another look at Gangzi who was knocked off the ring, he turned to face Lao Wang said in a cold voice. Yeah, you're the only one left. At this point, there were only 3 people left in the entire number 3 arena. Su Chen, Sun Chang, Zhao Xiaoya. Forehead. Just for such a moment, Sun Chang, who smiled ferociously and was full of enthusiasm, felt a wave of cold water pouring on his face, making the warm blood in his body instantly freeze. When I was fighting with Zhao Gang before, I was so involved that I didn't pay much attention. Now that he had reacted, he realized. Where are the people? The waiter, Wang Wu, Mazi, Zhang San and Li Si were all killed by him alone. No way, there are 500 or 600 people in the entire arena, wouldn't they all be killed by him? At this moment, Sun Chang, who was ignorant of the seriousness of the problem, couldn't help but shudder. Can he do this kind of thing? Facing Su Chen's cold eyes approaching step by step, Sun Chang couldn't help but put his hand to his chin with some guilt and coughed. Ahem, what, Su Chen, I haven't filled up my blood yet. Oh, Sun Chang's change in attitude made Su Chen stop in his tracks, and he raised his hand to signal indifferently. I'll wait for you to join me. Save yourself the trouble of making excuses like a fool later if you lose. Did everyone see it? The boy who failed in his career awakening actually single-handedly cleared the entire arena of all the awakened people of the same class. This is so. On the viewing platform, reporter Xiao Li, who witnessed with her own eyes how Su Chen swept the entire ring, was so shocked that she could not express her feelings. The live broadcast room was even more quarrelsome. Newbie, there are only 2 people left. Su Shen, he is indeed a man who was called a god in the past. He has not even awakened his profession and yet he can still achieve this level. He single-handedly defeated the whole arena. The teacher who asked the question had to lie down in the toilet and cry. Died. No, this is too exaggerated. Those are 500 or 600 combat professionals, not 500 or 600 pigs. Besides, even if there are 500 or 600 pigs, they won't all be eliminated so quickly, right? Quote. The barrage in the live broadcast room was chaotic. Even if they witnessed it with their own eyes and had evidence to back it up, many people still couldn't believe that a person who failed to awaken his profession could actually defeat all the awakened ones in the ring, 1 against 100. This is impossible. Are you playing me? How can he be so strong as a martial arts practitioner? Someone in the live broadcast room raised a question, and even Brother Understanding couldn't give a good explanation for a while. Don't worry, everyone. Let us interview a few guests for their thoughts before making any judgment. After adjusting her mood, Xiaoli said something to the live broadcast room. Then he turned the camera to Zhao Qian and asked. Law Officer Hatsune, you must have seen the doubts raised by the viewers. Do you think Su Chen's expressiveness is normal? There is nothing surprising. Martial artist has better endurance than professionals, and combat power has a long battery life. Although these students are professionals, they have only been awakened for 10 days after all. Their average health value is only about 10.0. Their combat experience is not rich enough. Their teamwork is also very poor. They cannot beat the pure-blood martial artist. If this happens, it's a very normal thing. I can do that too. In other words, for this kind of thing, with the same energy and blood value, any disciple who is proficient in ancient martial arts can do 1 to 100. If I were on the court, I could even squeeze Su Chen to death with just 2 legs. Zhao Qian, who was dressed in a tight leather jacket and had long and powerful legs, still had a cold voice and was picky in her words. It seemed to her that it was not a big deal for Su Chen to eliminate everyone in the arena by himself. So Uncle Zhao, I didn't mean to make things difficult for you. It's not impossible if you want me to be his master and teach him martial arts, but you also know that I'm quite busy. If you want me to teach him, then he has to be the first in this mock test. Number 1 in the mock test. The conditions proposed by Zhao Qian made Zhao Yu blush. Su Chen was able to eliminate all the people like Zhang San and Li Si. To be honest, it was a bit beyond his expectation, but he didn't expect that he still couldn't get into Zhao Qian's eyes. You need to be number 1 in the mock exam. The current competition is just for the first place in the 3rd arena. Not to mention the semifinals later, there is someone who Su Chen can't deal with in this 3rd arena alone. Compared to Zhang San and Li Si, whose combat power is only 156, Sun Cheng is an A-level professional, with a combat power of up to 350, far exceeding everyone present. And he is also a shield professional, and what he is best at is defense. Looking at the entire battle just now, he didn't find that Su Chen had any powerful offensive methods, and he couldn't break Sun Cheng's defense at all. In addition, Su Chen must have consumed a lot of energy in the previous battle, but on Sun Cheng's side, his daughter Zhao Xiaoya was constantly increasing her health and recovering. With one thing going the other way, how could Su Chen defeat Dun Yang Sun? Cheng became the first place in arena number 3, and even improved to the top 4, how can he be the first place in the mock test? Hatsune, your conditions are really strict. Zhao Yu smiled bitterly and shook his head. A young man who failed in career awakening is still able to persevere until now. I wonder, Mr. Zhang, what do you think? When Xiao Li was interviewing Zhang Feng's parents about their feelings. The viewing platform is in another direction. Look, I just said brother Su Chen will win. Bai Ruizu, who has long pink hair and a pure and beautiful appearance, smiled with starry eyes. Jack frowned and then said. He single-handedly eliminated 500 to 600 people in the ring. It looked impressive, but in fact, 90% of the 500 or 600 people had health values between 7.0 and 8.0, which were lower than him. Can he be on the same level as him? There are only 20 or 30 people of this level. Rounding up, he just beat 20 or 30 people of the same level. Even the knights trained by our Temple of Light can do this. Miss Ruizu, don't be fooled by superficial appearances. Next, when you compete with the boy holding the shield, he will reveal his true strength. By then you will know that professionals are the strongest, and there is no way out with Kyushu Kung Fu. His above-mentioned performance can be achieved by any professional with rich combat experience. After all, his opponents are just a group of rookies. Under the same circumstances, I can even hit him 100 times. Jack talked for a while and seemed to be reasonable, pointing out with arrogance and prejudice on his face. Miss Ruizu, do you know why he is pretending to be a gentleman at this moment and letting the young man with the shield increase his health and recover? Why? Because compared to other people on the field, the boy holding the shield is an A-level professional and the strongest person on the field. He knows that he can't win, so he pretends to be a gentleman and lets the opponent recover. Use this to make excuses for your failure later. Bai Ruizu was silent for a moment after listening to what Jack said, then she turned her eyes and smiled. Then do we want to make a bet? Bet? What are you betting on? Jack raised his eyebrows. Well, let's bet on whether brother Su Chen can beat Sun Cheng and win first place. If you lose, don't pester me if nothing happens in the future. Jack crossed his arms and nodded confidently. Yes, but Miss Ruizu, if you lose, please stop being willful in the future, follow the instructions of the protector, and stop wasting time by associating with such low-level people. Okay, Bai Ruizu responded softly. She didn't say much. She looked at Su Chen below with a pair of beautiful eyes, soft and sparkling. ... Ha ha ha. Recover from your injuries. Recover your physical strength. Restore your spirit. Full condition. Sun Chang suddenly burst into laughter on the stage. He glanced at Bai Ruizu on the auditorium, then turned his head sharply and stared at Su Chen. He flicked his green cloak behind him and fought. With high spirits, a loud shout came from his mouth. Su Chen is here to fight. Today he defended Sun Chang and vowed to severely beat and humiliate Su Chen in front of Bai Ruizu. It's finished. I've been waiting for you for a long time. On the stage, Su Chen glanced at Zhao Xiaoya behind him, then looked at Sun Chang, who was full of fighting spirit, and said slowly as he stepped forward. Start quickly. I've given you time to recover. Don't make excuses if you lose later. If you want to defeat someone like Sun Chang, you must wait for him to enter a complete state. Otherwise, if the state is slightly wrong, he may make excuses later. Therefore, in order to defeat Sun Chang at once, it is necessary to save him. Su Chen had only waited for such a period of time before he jumped in front of him and sneered like a mosquito. HMPH. Sun Chang snorted disdainfully. His eyes revealed the brilliance of wisdom, and he said, as if I have seen through you a long time ago. Why have you been waiting for me for so long? Su Chen, don't think I don't know. You are actually using this time to recover your strength, right? You still pretend to be kind and say wait for me, but I've seen through your tricks a long time ago. Say it as if you're asking me to. You've been showing off all day long. Just wait, I will beat you down with my shield. Sun Chang banged his shield. Fighting spirit is high. Previously, he was frightened by the fact that Su Chen eliminated everyone in the ring, but now after a period of calm thinking, his thoughts coincided with Jack's. 500 or 600 people may seem like a lot, but in fact most of them have health values around 7.0 or 8.0, and their combat power is only around 70 or 80. With my current combat power of 350, I can punch a kid with one punch, so I can eliminate the entire group. The arena sounds coaxing, but it's nothing to be afraid of. What Su Chen can do, I, Sun Chang, should be able to do it too. Win. In addition, although both sides were recovering their physical strength, with Zhao Xiaoya on his side adding blood and healing from behind, Su Chen's recovery speed would definitely not be as fast as his own. One goes down and the other goes up. Win. And the last and most important point, Sun Chang looked at Su Chen carefully and couldn't help but smile. With bare hands, who gave you the courage to have the confidence to challenge me, Sun Chang, without even a weapon? Is it that I, Dunyang, can't lift the shield, or is it that you, Su Chen, are drifting away? How could Su Chen defeat his defense without even having a weapon? So, win. To sum up, it's a win-win-win situation. I can't imagine it. I never imagined that I, Sun Chang, would lose this battle. Sun Chang shook his head and smiled, with a confident smile on his lips. Just as he raised his shield and prepared to reciprocate, he said, let Su Chen 100 round of time. Etc. Zhao Xiaoya's voice sounded from behind. What's wrong? Sun Chang turned his head in confusion. Zhao Xiaoya glared at Su Chen fiercely, then she looked at Sun Chang and said in a cold voice. I'll give you some protection at the end. Intensive care. Third layer ring protection. Zhao Xiaoya waved her scepter, and a transparent third layer barrier instantly appeared on Sun Chang's body. As thin as cicada wings and as transparent as ice crystals. It looks like it will break at a touch, but anyone with a discerning eye knows that this is a high-level auxiliary skill belonging to the wet nurse priest. The third layer ring is reinforced. Each layer of ring seems weak, but in fact even the outermost ring one layer is enough to protect against firearm bullets, and ordinary pistols cannot break through the defense. The second layer of rings at the back has twice the defensive capabilities of the outermost ring and can withstand the sweep of a submachine gun. The ring on the third and last layer is twice as hard as the ring on the second layer. I'm afraid even the heavily armored Barrett won't be able to penetrate it. Once such a high-level skill was released, it caused quite a stir on the scene. But it wasn't over yet. After releasing the third layer ring protection on Sun Chang, Zhao Xiaoya, who looked a little pale, ignored her body's weakness and gave Sun Chang 3 more high-level assists. Qi and blood increase. A ray of red light came out of Sun Chang's body. At this moment, Sun Chang felt the blood boiling in his body, and his whole body was filled with a steady stream of inexhaustible power. It seemed that at this moment, he could overthrow the entire world with one punch. Source of life. Another green circle appeared under Sun Chang's feet. Sun Chang suddenly felt refreshed, as if he was being treated all the time and could recover immediately if he was injured. Physical strengthening. A yellow light appeared in response. With the third layer increasing, Sun Chang felt as strong as a cow at this time, more powerful than ever before. Wow! Third layer amplification support, plus third layer protective ring. Such a series of powerful buffs fell on Sun Chang, which shocked everyone present and couldn't help but exclaimed. I know that chi and blood increase can instantly increase a person's chi and blood content, allowing a person to explode with power that far exceeds his own chi and blood value in a short period of time. Coupled with the physical strengthening, this short period of time can be extended continuously, at least for about 5 to 10 minutes. With these two increases, Sun Chang's combat power will at least double. Oh my god, Sun Chang's combat power of 350 was originally the strongest in the arena. If it were doubled now, wouldn't the combat power be as high as 700? It is already comparable to a high-level awakened person. You can't break Su Chen to pieces with just one punch. The most outrageous thing is the source of life, which can continuously increase blood recovery and last for 10 minutes. This means that in the next 10 minutes, no matter what kind of damage Su Chen inflicts on Sun Chang, what kind of physical strength is meaningless, the opponent will recover quickly. No, still causing harm. Don't forget, Sun Chang is a shield warrior, and his defense is surprisingly high, but Zhao Xiaoya also added a third layer ring to him. Under this kind of defense, Su Chen can break the defense, let alone hurt Sun Chang. When I meet Sun Chang, it's like smoke is rising from my ancestor's grave. There was a crazy discussion in the live broadcast room. The expressions of the guests on the auditorium were also somewhat different. That, Uncle Zhao, Du Xiaoya and Su Chen have a grudge. Zhao Qian tilted his head with a strange look in his eyes. Zhao Yu also had a bit of embarrassment on his face. He didn't know why his daughter didn't have any grudge against Su Chen. Even if they broke up, it was easy to get back together. Why did it seem like there was some deep hatred between them? Hee, Miss Ruizu, this is none of my business. If you lose, you can't default on your debt. Jack also laughed out of surprise. Bai Ruizu said nothing, but held the railing tightly with her jade hands, the backs of her hands turning white. On the third stage, Zhao Xiaoya's continuous bursts of assistance shocked Sun Chang for a moment, but he soon saw the various colors of protective auras on his body, as well as the endless explosive and terrifying power emerging from his body. Sun Chang couldn't help but laugh wildly. Jia. Cool. Is this the power of assistance? Is this the auxiliary power? Endless defense, endless power, endless physical strength, endless life. Now I feel like I can kill even Godfiend. With the help of Zhao Xiaoya, Sun Chang's momentum was rising like waves, each wave getting stronger than the last and starting to increase rapidly. Soar, strong growth, Ba Zhang. It has long surpassed the realm of elementary level professionals. Such strength, such momentum, who else can compete with him? He. Su Chen, I just said, we are not from the same world, you are not worthy of me at all. You losers who have not been able to awaken their profession should stop struggling and struggling, stop appearing in front of me, and stop appearing on the stage of our professionals. Just go back to the bottom of the garbage heap where you belong. The 3 successive levels of increase and the release of the protective ring had already made Zhao Xiaoya's body weak and teetering on the verge of collapse, but she laughed crazily while leaning on her staff, looking at Su Chen with eyes filled with joy. Quack quack, come on Sun Chang, defeat Su Chen. If you can defeat Su Chen, I, Zhang San, will recognize you as the boss from now on. Zhang San, Li Si and other corpses were talking under the ring. Brother Sun, come on, Su Chen is so hateful, he doesn't show mercy at all. Boss is venting his anger for us. Mazi was shouting. Su Chen has stayed in the number 1 position for too long. It's time for him to step down. Sun Chang, let us witness the transition between the old and the new era with our own eyes. The muscular man was also talking. Brother Chen, be careful. Amidst the cheerful laughter, Gangzi's worried voice came from below. It's okay Gangzi. Your brother Chen will always be your brother Chen. On the ring, Su Chen turned his head and said something in reply, staring forward, leaning forward slightly, focusing on Sun Chang, who was gaining momentum in front of him. With his fingers lightly, the bullets can explode at any time like a wild beast gathering momentum. Jia, do not worry. It won't take you too long. I will deal with Su Chen soon. Sun Chang replied with a smile to Mazi and others, then focused on Su Chen. He thumped the shield on his arm, excitedly licking his lips. A cruel smile appeared on his lips. Su Chen, prepare to die. Bang! Suddenly, a deafening explosion sounded, and Sun Chang, who was laughing wildly, was stunned. He suddenly found that Su Chen was no longer in the previous position, and he could only see the marble floor where Su Chen was suddenly cracking. When it opened, it was dented every inch, revealing cracked lines, and gravel flew high. Where's Su Chen? Sun Chang's heart suddenly tightened, and his eyes quickly turned, instantly locking onto Su Chen's figure. Unexpectedly, Su Chen appeared in front of him and swung his fist with great force. There was a sharp whistling sound that cut through the air at the peak of the fist. How could? Sun Chang was surprised by Su Chen's sudden burst of speed, and even more surprised by the power of Su Chen's punch. He subconsciously raised his feet and stepped back. But not even half a step out yet. Then he saw that Su Chen's fist peak had reached the thickened ring of third layer. The basic strength of a health value of 50.0 is 5 to 6 tons, plus the level of skin light gold and jade amplification. At this moment, when I burst out with all my strength, the power of one punch should be no less than 10 tons. The power of more than 10 tons gathered in one punch can even be connected with fine iron. It can penetrate even the armor, not to mention the third layer protection. Su Chen's eyes were sharp and he punched the ring 3 times. Boom! The air waves were rolling, and a deafening sound came. The 3-layer protective ring that could withstand the heavy barret was instantly destroyed like paper by Su Chen's punch, and turned into fragments scattered all over the sky, even blocking Su Chen's movements. None of them were done. What? A shoddy project. At this moment, Sun Chang's eyes widened, and his heart was filled with death. Seeing that Su Chen was about to bully him, he didn't care to think about why the third layer protection ring couldn't even block Su Chen's punch. When he hurriedly retreated, he raised his hand. Use your shield to block. Zhao Xiaoya's third layer protection ring may be a shoddy project, but the power brought by the source of life, the increase in qi and blood, the strengthening of the physique, and the assistance of the third layer are tangible. Faced with the sudden attack on Sun Chang's eyes were about to burst, he gritted his teeth and roared in anger. Must defend first. You must defend first. This is Sun Chang's exclusive passive skill as a shield hero. No matter who it is, the damage caused by attacking him for the first time will definitely be transferred to the shield, which means, a man who cannot be attacked by sneak attacks. Su Chen, I might even be able to kill Godfian now. I don't believe you can break through my defense. Sun Chang roared. Under the shattered fragments of the third layer ring, Su Chen raised his head, his eyes shining brightly. Great accomplishment of leather refining. The skin is like gold and jade. It becomes stronger when it encounters strength, and it becomes strong when encountering strength. Compared to the dragon scale slashing technique, which relies mainly on dragging the knife and friction, after the great accomplishment, my skin is like gold and jade, and I can perform more advanced attacking techniques. More penetrating than dragon scales. More lethal. Its name is Dragon Teeth. Su Chen shouted softly. After shattering the third layer's protective ring, he took a sudden step forward, twisted his waist and changed his hands. With a strike as fast as lightning, he struck the shield raised by Sun Chang. Stab it! Roar! In a daze, Sun Chang seemed to see the dragon raising its head, revealing its terrifying and sharp dragon teeth and biting towards him. Boom! Just for a moment, when Su Chen's hand touched the shield, Sun Chang seemed to hear a strong sound of metal clashing. The shield in his hand, which was already full of cracks due to the collision with Zhao Gang, exploded instantly. Flowers splashing everywhere. Impossible. Sun Chang's eyes suddenly widened as he cried out in unbearable shock. This isn't. Bang. However, before Sun Chang could speak again, Su Chen's power remained unabated after breaking the shield. He immediately stepped forward, grabbed Sun Chang's neck with one hand, and raised him high. Under the sun, the 3 layers of protective rings were shattered, the crystal iron shield exploded, the violent wind had not yet calmed down, Waves of air blew the corners of Su Chen's white clothes, and his black hair was scattered, making him look like a god or a demon. You said you can kill anything. Su Chen's cold voice sounded at this moment. Forehead. Brother Sun. Boss. Sun Chang. At this moment, the whole place was completely silent. Zhang San, Li Si, Mazi, Muscular Man, Zhao Xiaoya, Gangzi and others were completely stunned by the appearance of this scene. The series of battles between Sun Chang and Su Chen seemed slow, but in fact they only happened in a split second. The audience could only see through the live broadcast room that Sun Chang, who was still fierce with his front legs and laughed loudly and said, "Even Godfiend can be killed," had his third-layer guard ring and shield on his back legs smashed to pieces, and was lifted up by Su Chen and asked the previous sentence, "You said you can kill anything." Single quote. Such a sudden change, not to mention Sun Chang himself who was almost suffocated, even the minds of other people watching the game were blank, unable to accept the huge amount of information contained in it. Therefore, the scene fell into an extremely strange state of dead silence. No matter it was the first and second grade students, the principal and teachers on the viewing platform, special guests such as Xiaoli and Zhao Qian, no one from all the big shots said a word. Even in the live broadcast room, every moment the densely packed barrages that slid past were all cleared at this moment. I don't know how much time has passed. You could only see Sun Chang choking, foaming at the mouth and rolling his eyes. Ah! A woman's scream rang out on arena number 3, breaking the dead silence of the scene. Impossible. This is impossible. Zhao Xiaoya shook her head and shouted in panic that she couldn't accept. The third-layer guard ring can theoretically prevent armor-piercing bullets. 100 years ago, Saint used the 33rd-layer guard ring to block space-based weapons from extraterrestrial civilizations that penetrated thousands of miles. Although I only use the third layer, but it will never be broken by you so easily. Not to mention the source of life, increased chi and blood, and strengthened physique. With the assistance of the third layer, Sun Chang's strength will at least double. The combat power has reached at least more than 700 points, entering the realm of high-level awakened people. How could I be knocked unconscious by your bare hands? Impossible, this is impossible, how can you win? Zhao Xiaoya seemed to be shocked. She covered her head and kept shaking her head, her hair disheveled like a madman, constantly denying the facts in front of her. Why is it impossible? Su Chen's voice sounded on the ring, and he threw the unconscious Sun Chang under the ring like a humanoid garbage. He stepped closer to Zhao Xiaoya. Look up. Looking at the approaching figure of the man in front of her, a certain fear gradually appeared in Zhao Xiaoya's eyes. Her slender body trembled and she took 2 steps back to the edge of the ring, like a little sheep being cornered by the big bad wolf. He lowered his head and closed his eyes, shouting in fear. You, don't come over. Snapped. Of course, Zhao Xiaoya's cry couldn't stop Su Chen. He casually pointed his finger at Zhao Xiaoya's white forehead and knocked Zhao Xiaoya off the 2-meter-high ring. At this moment, only Su Chen was left standing on the stage. Looking around, on the high platform, there are dazzling audiences. Dead bodies were lying everywhere, up and down the ring. Su Chen, who was standing on the ring, immediately saw the pretty pink figure cheering him on the auditorium like the little sister next door. He smiled at Bai Ruizu. Look, I just said that brother Su Chen will not lose. After Bai Ruizu smiled back at Su Chen, she said with a little pride in her tone like a little girlfriend showing off her boyfriend. Jack, according to the agreement, you are not allowed to bother me again when you are fine. Jack, who was wearing platinum armor, stood aside, with a frown on his face and a hint of surprise in his eyes. He never expected that a disabled man who failed to awaken would survive until the end and become the number 1 in the ring. This is really unexpected. 666. 1. Su Chen wins. How is this possible? It seemed that Bai Ruizu's proud voice pressed the start button again for this silent world, and the whole place roared like thunder. Countless barrages flew up in the live broadcast room. Unbelievable, unbelievable, unimaginable. A person who has not awakened any profession actually achieved the first place in the arena in this mock examination of combat professional geniuses. With my own strength, I swept through 500 or 600 of my fellow competitors, and when I reached full status, fully increased my strength, and doubled my combat power, I instantly crushed the A-level professionals, and pinched them with my bare hands until they suffocated and fainted. Such a record. Depraved boy, is he really depraved? On the viewing platform, reporter Xiaoli looked down at the unparalleledly handsome young man with skin as white as jade, and couldn't help but murmur in a daze. "I'll knock. No way." In the class teacher's seat, Wang Meng, the class teacher of Class 1, was as wide-eyed as a tiger. His anus tightened at the occurrence of this situation, as if something bad was about to happen to him. Am I going to lose the next bet on my butt? High-level martial artist. At that moment, he burst out with strength comparable to that of a high-level martial artist. How could this happen? Didn't it mean that he hadn't entered the level 10 days ago? Zhao Qian, who had always been cold and indifferent, finally showed an emotional expression on his face this time. She frowned and found it difficult to understand. In just 10 days, I have broken through from a newly entered martial artist to a high-level martial artist. Isn't this training speed a bit too fast? I don't know either. Zhao Yu, the teacher responsible for teaching Su Chen martial Dao, looked down at Su Chen with a blank look in his eyes. I let you come out every 10 years, but I didn't let you see you once in 100 years. This kind of cultivation speed, even if it is not a rare occurrence in 100 years, is still quite monstrous. You must know that he, Master Martial Dao, has been practicing for more than 30 years, and he is only in the realm of rank 2 martial master. He was clearly not even a martial artist 2 days ago, so why did he feel like his student was about to surpass him in the blink of an eye? Has reality suddenly become a bit fantasy? There was a commotion on the viewing platform. Everyone was shocked by Su Chen's victory. Even Zhang Feng's mother, Hong Yuyao, a beautiful woman with a figure as mature as a peach, couldn't help rubbing her legs with a blush on her face. His eyes were filled with the image of Su Chen standing majestically on the stage alone. How could there be such a young man? Impossible. But it's impossible. Sun Cheng is an A-level combat professional shield hero. His health value of 25.0 and combat power of 350 far exceeds everyone present. Not to mention that with Zhao Xiaoya's multiple assistants, his strength must have at least doubled. Combat power 700, comparable to high-level professionals. How could someone with such strength be killed instantly by Su Chen, picked up like a chicken and thrown out of the ring? How could such a thing happen? On the lawn below arena number 3, it was already covered with all kinds of corpse, and in this pile of corpse, Zhang San, Li Si and others who were still alive could not accept the facts before them, and kept shaking their heads in denial. Even his good friend Gangzi could only say one thing when he saw Su Chen standing on the stage with all his might. Brother, you make me feel strange. Zhao Xiaoya's third layer protective ring is no worse than his protective fortress in terms of defensive capabilities. But in the end, he was punched to death by Su Chen. Does this mean that the protective fortress that Su Chen used to protect Su Chen could also be destroyed by Su Chen with one punch if he wanted to? Then what are you doing with your protective behavior? Who are you protecting again? Gangzi looked at his big shield and fell into doubts about life. Even the strengthened Sun Cheng was eliminated with one move. If that's true, how strong does Su Chen's combat power have to be now? 800, 900 or 1000? Previously, the combat power tester could not detect Su Chen's combat power. Could it be that it really exceeded the detection limit? In the live broadcast room, there was also a new round of discussion. No one could imagine why Su Chen was so powerful. He doesn't even have a career. Just a martial arts practitioner. Why can one person fight so many professional awakeners? Although I heard that he is a martial Dao genius who comes out every 10 years, as far as I know, 10 days ago, his health value was only about 9.8, and he had not yet entered the level. But now, in just 10 days, his strength is already comparable to that of a high-level martial artist, so this is cheating. Even if Martial Dao is very talented, he wouldn't be so outrageous. The barrage in the live broadcast room was scrolling. It was difficult to understand the occurrence of this kind of thing, and reporter Xiaoli couldn't give any good explanation. I see. And at this moment, Zhao Qian's eyes flashed, a thoughtful expression appeared on her face, and she spoke slowly after regaining her composure. I know why Su Chen's strength increased so quickly. Xiaoli quickly handed over the microphone. Facing the camera, Zhao Qian analyzed slowly and calmly. In just 10 days, a martial apprentice who has never entered the level has become a high-level martial artist. This kind of thing is actually not too exaggerated. After all, the martial artist realm is mainly about enhancing one's own energy and blood. It only requires a certain amount of martial Dao talent and a large supply of resources. It is not difficult to achieve a rapid breakthrough in a short period of time. So according to my guess, Su Chen must have taken some powerful medicine during this period, or practiced some secret method that can instantly increase combat power, so his strength increased so quickly. So that's it. The answer given by Zhao Qian made people suddenly realize. It turns out it was caused by taking drugs. How shameless. Zhang San and Li Si gritted their teeth. I was wondering how could Su Chen be so strong. It turns out he was on drugs. Although he can walk fast due to drug addiction, it can easily cause his foundation to be unstable and his steps to be weak. He won't be able to walk very far in the future. The muscular man held his arms in his arms and mouthed. Li hums and is not angry. Having said that, but if he really has the strength of a high-level martial artist now, wouldn't he be the first place in this mock test? Under the ring, Sun Chang was pinching the pockmark, and he couldn't help but say something that made everyone laugh. Issues of concern to all. You can't say that. After taking a look at the other 3 arenas, the winners were decided one after another. On the viewing platform, Zhao Qian shook his head. Uncle Zhao, you should know the advantages and disadvantages of pure-blood martial artists compared to professionals. The reason why martial artists can gain an absolute advantage in close combat is not because of the high health value, but because of the depth of martial Dao's attainments. Being able to exert one point of force with great force is the advantage of martial artist. Quote, whether the strength Su Chen showed just now was due to taking drugs or using secret techniques to temporarily improve it, its foundation must be weak and unstable. If he cannot master this power well, he will already be inferior. Saying that, Zhao Xiaoya pointed at arena number 2 with her slender fingers. There, Wang Hao's 4 to 5 meter high orange mecha flashed in the sun with a metallic luster that made men unable to bear to take a second look. Not to mention other things, Wang Hao's ACBS 9000 series machine is loaded with heavy firearms and alloy giant swords. Its power is so powerful for ordinary martial artists that it will be injured if it is rubbed and killed if it is touched. The appearance of its materials, the skeleton armor is made of the latest orange-grade stainless steel, which is enough to withstand tens of tons of force without falling apart. How can Su Chen defeat such a technological product with his bare hands? In a real sense, I'm afraid he can't even break through the defense. Let's talk about another one. Zhao Qian's finger pointed at arena number 1 again, where Zhang Feng, wearing a black anima suit, was fiddling with his hairstyle. Zhang Feng has the profession of an A-level Gale swordsman. Master the power of the wind. Not to mention its agility and speed far beyond the same level, the most important thing is that it can form dozens of wind blades by raising its hand. Each wind blade can easily create ravines on the marble floor. If it falls on a person, I'm afraid it can cut someone in half in an instant. This kind of lethality makes it difficult for Su Chen to even get close. How can I win? Just because he is twice as physically strong as the two of them. This advantage may still be useful against Sun Chang, who can only hold up a shield to be beaten, but facing Wang Hao's mecha and Zhang Feng's wind blade, Su Chen is bare-handed, but how can a flesh and blood body face it? Zhao Qian made a reasonable analysis. Not only did it convince the audience in the live broadcast room, it also left Zhao Yu speechless. You want to regret it. On the other side, Bai Ruizu frowned slightly, looking at Jack with an ugly expression on her face. No, Miss Ruizu, you misunderstood. The most important thing for us knights is commitment. I will not go back on it. I said before that if he can persist on stage 3 until the end, I will not disturb your daily life again. However, I can only guarantee myself. I cannot guarantee that others will not disturb you. So why don't we take another gamble? If he can get the first place in this mock test, I can assure you that others will not disturb you. How about it? Jack spoke his mind freely. Good. After learning Jack's idea, Bai Ruizu's face softened and she nodded in agreement without much hesitation. Are you so confident? Jack raised his eyebrows and said incomprehensibly. Miss Ruizu, he is just a drug-addled martial artist. You should know the huge gap between a martial artist and an awakened one. Neither the Mecha Boy nor the Blast Boy can fight against him. Quote, even if the Mecha Boy and the Blast Boy failed to hold back their attacks later, he would most likely be hit by a shot or a wind blade and be seriously injured. He would be missing arms and legs, and there would be no possibility of winning. The martial artist is just flesh and blood after all. He can be easily scratched by swords and beaten into pieces by bullets. Faced with this extremely lethal attack, the martial artist is not much different from ordinary people. At most, he is ordinary. A person may die with just one stab, but the martial artist requires two. Therefore, after comprehensively comparing the advantages and disadvantages of the battle between the two sides, almost no one, whether on the viewing platform or in the live broadcast room, was optimistic that Su Chen could win against Sun Cheng and Zhang Feng. But I believe him. Brother Su Chen won't lie to me. Bai Ruizu looked at Su Chen below, her beautiful eyes still shining as before. This made Jack on the side look a little deeper. Ha ha ha, I didn't expect everyone's reaction to be so intense. Isn't it natural for me, Wang Hao, to win the final victory as a dignified mecha master? I'm a little embarrassed by such enthusiastic cheers. While the buzz about Su Chen's victory on arena number 3 was still echoing around him. Arena number 2. Wang Hao jumped out of the mecha, his crocodile leather shoes sparkling in the sun. The overly lively discussions around him made him scratch his head and laugh out loud in embarrassment, thinking that everyone was cheering for his victory. And cheers. Brother Wang. A voice came from below the ring. Two brothers, Zhang San and Li Si, supported each other and limped over. Zhang San and Li Si, why were you beaten so badly? Who is it? Is it that Sun Cheng? After seeing the panda eyes and other injuries on the faces of Zhang San and Li Si, Wang Hao instantly turned from joy to anger. It's so outrageous. It depends on the owner to beat a dog. Sun Cheng knows that you are my little brothers, but he still dares to be so cruel. Don't worry, your brother Wang will vent his anger for you later. Let's see which one is more powerful, his broken shield, or your brother Wang's tough big mecha. Zhang San explained with a little more embarrassment on his face. Brother Wang, you misunderstood. It wasn't Sun Cheng who did it, he's still lying down. Still lying down. Wang Hao was stunned for a moment. He looked in a certain direction under the number 3 ring, and sure enough, he saw Sun Cheng lying on the ground at a glance. If it wasn't Sun Cheng, then who hurt you? Could it be Zhao Gang? Wang Hao asked. No, it's Su Chen. Zhang pointed with 3 fingers to arena number 3, where Su Chen cast his gaze. What? Wang Hao looked shocked when he saw that the last person standing on the 3rd stage was Su Chen Ho. Incomprehensible. How did this loser Su Chen stand at the end? Brother Wang, you must avenge us. Su Chen has been taking drugs these days, and his strength has increased rapidly. Not only us, but also Sun Cheng was beaten out. After Zhang San and Li Si explained, Wang Hao, who understood what happened, suddenly showed a disdainful expression on his face. Sun Cheng is such a trash. He's been saying that Su Chen is a loser all day long, and he's almost beaten to the point of being pooped out, yet he doesn't even urinate to show off his appearance. I, Zhang Feng, am here to announce that Sun Cheng is not worthy of being ranked with us as number 1F4 in the future. Zhang Feng, who was on stage number 1, heard that Sun Cheng had lost to Su Chen, and he quickly made a sacred cut speech to avoid being lowered. Su Chen must have been pretending to be a corpse the whole time. In the end, he sneak attacked our brother Sun while he wasn't paying attention, so he could stand at the end. It's really despicable. Brother Sun, don't worry, my glasses will avenge you. On the number 4 ring, the glasses guy, who didn't know the specific process but managed to win first place by pretending to be a corpse, looked at Su Chen on the number 3 ring and gritted his teeth. He was fighting for Sun Cheng. Be quiet, everyone, be quiet. Next, let me explain the rules of the semifinals. The top 4 matches will adopt a 1v1 defense mode. The remaining 4 students in the outer ring can go to the center number 5 ring to decide the winner. It can be seen as the camera moves. There is a suspension bridge connecting the 4 outer arenas in the 4 directions of southeast, northwest and northwest, connecting the number 5 arena in the center. Compared with the surrounding arenas 1 to 4, the size of arena number 5 is only 100 meters by 100 meters, but the height is as high as 10 meters. It is magnificent and surrounded by a moat. Climbing on it will inevitably make people feel like they are on top, a feeling of. Students who think they have the ability to win the first place can be the first to go to the central arena and accept the challenges of the other 3 people in a row. If they win, they will be successful and be the first in this class. If you lose, you will be eliminated, third and fourth. The host briefly explained the rules of the semifinals. Whoever is confident can be the first to get on the central ring, and then accept the challenge of the remaining 3 people. If he is knocked off the ring after being pushed up by the first person, then he will be ranked 4th. If he is knocked down by the second person, he will be ranked 4th. Just after we got off the stage, we were ranked 3rd. If you can successfully defend the ring one after another, then you will definitely be ranked number 1 in this mock test. Under this rule, it is obvious that the first person to go up will suffer the most. If you want to be first, you need to win 3 people in a row. The last person to challenge is the most advantageous. Regardless of whether the opponent has won 2 games in a row or is the new owner of the arena, he can just sit back and wait for work, challenge with a complete victory, and win the first place. Even if he loses, he can still get the second place. Quote. On arena number 3, Su Chen understood the pros and cons of this rule with a flash of light in his eyes. Therefore, after this rule was announced in previous years, the first 4 people present will basically weigh it a little before anyone dares to be the first to step onto the central stage and accept the 3-way challenge. But this time it was obviously different, when the host announced that the top 4 games could begin. Su Chen's feet moved slightly. There's no need to waste this time. I'll be the first. As a soft shout rang out, people only saw a figure landing on the central arena like a rock spreading its wings. After seeing the figure on the field, there was an uproar. It's him. It's him. I didn't expect it to be him. Is he so confident that he jumped on it first without thinking about it? The crowd watching from all directions was very surprised because of the performance of the first person to jump on the ring. Su Chen was also speechless. Unexpectedly, someone was more anxious than him, so he jumped up as soon as the exam bell rang. On the central stage, the glasses guy held a green long bow in one hand, pushed up his glasses with the other hand, gave Su Chen a provocative look, and said slowly, I know that with my glasses strength, I can't beat Mr. Wang and Mr. Zhang, so I have only one goal when I step into the ring this time. That means there is a parallel importer among the top 4 candidates for this year's mock test in our number 1 middle school. It seriously lowered the value of our mock exam. If he is allowed to stay in such a sacred central arena for 1 more second, it will be a humiliation to our No. 1 middle school mock exam. If this kind of thing gets out, what will people from other schools like No. 2 middle school and No. 3 middle school think? Let him be in the top 4. I thought we had No. 1 left in No. 1 middle school. Therefore, as an A-level goalkeeper and the strongest person in the B-level profession, my glasses must remove impurities for everyone and increase the gold content of the mock exam. So, Su Chen is ready to come and fight. On the central stage, Su Chen, the bespectacled finger, shouted and invited a fight. Today I will avenge brother Sun and shoot you so hard. Wow, glasses are a sudden statement of challenge. The barrage in the live broadcast room started rolling quickly, and everyone was very excited. Everyone was asking excitedly, who is he? Who's that guy with the glasses? With all that I said before, I thought he was announcing his family name. I didn't expect him to be so brave and challenge Su Chen by name. If I remember correctly, these glasses seem to belong to Sun Cheng's younger brother. A B-level archer with a combat power of around 1670. He just managed to get there by pretending to be a corpse on the 4th stage, at last. Isn't it? The combat power is only 1670. Didn't anyone tell him that he was strengthened? Brother Sun, whose combat power was as high as 600 or 700, was killed instantly by Su Chen's move. There was too much chatter around, and I couldn't hear exactly what was being said, but the guy with glasses knew it without even thinking about it. Everyone should be cheering for me. Glasses. In the central arena, not far away, Sun Cheng came to life with the support of Mazi and others, and was about to say something to his eyes. Brother Sun, you don't need to say any more, I understand what you mean. Glasses raised his hand to stop Sun Cheng from speaking, and he patted his chest and assured. Just watch from below, I will return it along with your share. After that, the glasses didn't give Sun Cheng a chance to speak at all, and shouted directly to the number 3 ring. What are you doing standing still? Su Chen is a man, so don't act like a coward. Do you dare to go up and fight my glasses brother? Grant your wish. Su Chen, who originally planned to be the first to enter the arena for a quick victory, had nothing to hesitate. Under the gaze of everyone, he walked straight to the ring. Su Chen, I know what you are thinking. Under the refraction of the sun, the man with glasses confidently pushed up the glasses on the bridge of his nose and speculated and analyzed. Don't you just want me, Wang Xiao, Zhang Xiao and the others to go into the ring and fight each other first? When the time comes, either I will be eliminated first, or Wang Xiao and Zhang Xiao will eliminate one of them next. You who are the last one to play can get third or even second place. No matter what, you will definitely be among the top 3 in the simulated test in this way. Quote. But it's a pity that you thought you were holding on until the end. Wouldn't my glasses brother understand? I exposed your dirty plans in front of your face and had to come up to challenge you. You should be very angry now, right? In the center of the arena, Sun Chang looked worried and wanted to remind Su Chen. His confident words made Sun Chang look worried. You don't want glasses, brother Sun, don't worry, I have my own sense of discretion and won't hurt him too seriously. Sun Chang. The glasses didn't give him a chance to remind him at all. After saying a word, he pulled up the long bow in his hand. B-level professional forest archer. A forest-colored light emerged from the glasses, and energy gathered on the arrows. As a forest bow and arrow, my normal shooting can achieve the effect of blue and silver entanglement. After the arrow hits the target, a vine will instantly grow out, binding the opponent in place. It has a certain degree of control. But in the face of you, Su Chen, in order for you to stop tarnishing this sacred stage as soon as possible, you will have the honor to meet me, the new shooter secret developed by Brother Glasses. Elf flashes. Attention, Su Chen, this is your last chance to surrender. Otherwise, you will be injured later. Don't blame me for not warning you. My strike is enough to penetrate the stars. The glasses were shining with a sharp sheen, and he looked serious, not to mention quite imposing. The round bow is fully drawn. Rods of forest-colored light gathered at the tip of the arrow, emitting a dazzling luster. These glasses look like they really have something to offer. I can't tell, it's really possible. There was a barrage comment in the live broadcast room. Su Chen, let me ask you one last time. Are you going to surrender or not? He asked with a warning tone as he aimed his bow and arrow at Su Chen. Okay, the glasses are worth all the nonsense you didn't even say your name. Stop wasting everyone's time. I'm rushing to win the first place. Su Chen waved to his glasses impatiently. If the remaining 2 people, Wang Hao and Zhang Feng, could interest him a little bit, but glasses. The audience doesn't even know your name, who are you? So many words to say here. Okay, Su Chen, you asked for this. Brother Glasses gritted his teeth angrily. He didn't expect that out of his kindness, he actually fed the donkey liver and lungs. In this case, don't blame me if you get hurt later. Su Chen, do you want to be in the top 3? Do you want to win the championship? Haha, I'm sorry, 4th is your limit. Because my glasses brother will stop you here. I won't let you, a parallel import, tarnish the gold content of our top 3 in the first middle school. Elf flash. With an angry shout from his eyes, the arrow in his hand flew out instantly like a bullet, splashing waves of air, like a green beam of light flying towards Su Chen at an amazing speed. Quick. There was a burst of exclamation from the crowd, and the barrage scrolled wildly in the live broadcast room. Oops, I underestimated Brother Glasses. The power of this arrow is stronger than that of a gun and armor bullet. If it were shot on a person, I'm afraid Su Chen wouldn't really be shot. Don't worry, I'm aiming for his shoulder. It seemed that he had anticipated people's worries. When the arrow was shot, the glasses man said while holding his glasses. I won't really shoot him up. Of course you dare to look down on my glasses brother like this. You will have to suffer a little. Snapped. Suddenly, a clear voice sounded on the ring. The glasses guy turned around and looked. Opposite him, Su Chen caught the elf in a flash with his bare hands. His 5 fingers were like iron pliers holding the sharp arrow tightly in his hand, motionless. Glasses guy. Under the gorgeous sunshine. On the vast arena, the elf flashed, and the violent air wave caused by the forced stop stirred up dust on the ground. The rolling air waves blew the corners of Su Chen's white clothes. The speed is okay, but the strength is too bad. As for the sharpness, it's just so-so. Su Chen took the arrow in his hand, glanced at his intact white palm without even a trace of fur, and gave a fair evaluation. Hey, what on earth was I expecting just now? Seeing this scene, a barrage in the live broadcast room said with waning interest, as if he had already expected it. But the glasses guy, who didn't know Su Chen's performance on the third stage, couldn't accept it and his eyes widened. What? The spirit flashed, but the latest secret I have learned is fast, powerful, and lethal. It can easily pass through a cement wall several 10 centimeters thick. Even Brother Sun praised me, but I didn't dare to confront him head-on. But how could I be given to Su Chen with his bare hands now? This is impossible. Yan Yan couldn't accept the reality and shook his head. He regained his mentality and wanted to fight again. But, snapped, Su Chen broke off the wooden arrow in his hand, took out a piece of sawdust from the broken part of the arrow body, and flicked the piece of sawdust onto Brother Glass's glasses. Only a click was heard. The glasses guy's glasses fell to the ground and broke. The victory has been decided. Winner Su Chen. The invigilator also gave the verdict at this moment. The glasses guy who didn't have glasses was stunned for a moment. Ah, teacher, what did you say? I'm not defeated yet. I can still fight. I still have the blue-silver entanglement which is of no use. It's just the glasses that were broken, not me. This classmate with glasses, please stop being so messy, okay? Do you think Su Chen is afraid of your blue-silver entanglement? Your body is already broken, so don't fight anymore. Please go down quickly and take your body to heal. The invigilator gave the suggestion expressionlessly, signaling the glasses guy to step down quickly, so as not to hinder the next important step of determining the top 3 in the mock exam of No. 1 middle school. What body? What kind of eyes are you wearing? I'm the glasses guy. It's just the glasses that were broken. What does it have to do with my glasses brother? The glasses brother wanted to struggle to defend himself and fight with Su Chen, but soon 2 teachers who were maintaining order came and held him up from the ring. Drag it straight down. There are shady secrets. My glasses are just broken. Why don't you let me fight again? I don't accept it. I haven't lost yet. The glasses guy was dragged off the ring, kicking his legs and shouting from side to side, hoping that someone would stand up and say a few words for him at this time. But, glasses, I know you still have the blue-silver entanglement and it's useless, but to be honest, no one is afraid of your blue-silver entanglement. You'd better let your spectacle frame take you for treatment as soon as possible. I think your injury is a bit serious. There are cracks in both lenses. Stop fighting and treat it with glue first. If it doesn't work, I will take you to Zhao Xiaoya and ask her to perform a holy light technique on you. Quote. Ah, Brother Sun, who are you talking to? Brother Glasses looked at Sun Cheng holding his glasses and speaking worriedly, and said incomprehensibly. I'm here. What did you say to my glasses? Snort. Okay, trash. If you lose, you lose. Don't get entangled here. At this time, Wang Hao walked over in crocodile leather shoes. He held his arms in his arms and snorted coldly at the broken glasses on Sun Cheng's hand, as if he looked down on the glasses guy's chatter. Then he looked at Sun Cheng with disdain and ridicule. When an army is destroyed, one is destroyed. When a general is destroyed, an entire nest is destroyed. Sun Cheng, no wonder you were the first to be eliminated by Su Chen in F4. Look at the performance of your men, they are really useless. Next, I'll let you see the strength that I, Wang Hao, have to have in F4 in a middle school with the same name. Wow, in the cheers of the crowd, Wang Hao jumped up and stepped onto the ring. ... Come on, come on. The real finals have finally begun. Brother Wang is not a squishy archer like his glasses. He is an A-level professional mecha master. This is a super tech profession that can drive mechas. It is equipped with heavy firepower weapons and super hard exoskeleton armor. In this mock test, it can be said that he is invincible in attack and defense. Previously, in our number 2 arena, Brother Wang didn't take any action the whole time. He just stood there with his mecha on, leaving us with no way to deal with it and unable to break through the defense at all. Wang Hao's appearance marked the beginning of the ranking of the top 3 places in the mock exam. All the students around him became agitated. Especially the students who were in the number 2 arena with Wang Hao before could not help but show admiration. I can't imagine how Brother Wang, who is driving a mecha, will lose to Su Chen with his bare hands. It seems he can only stop here, on the viewing platform. Reporter Xiao Li said regretfully. Although the young man has not truly fallen, he has worked hard on taking drugs and practicing in the past 10 days, even at the expense of his own reputation, and used malicious ways to grab monsters to prevent his classmates from becoming stronger. He has used all kinds of tricks, both externally and internally, to do evil and harm, and he has reached the limit of his abilities. Quote, but there are some things that cannot be achieved by hard work, just like he has not awakened his profession. This is a mountain that cannot be overcome no matter how hard he works. Even if his blood value may now reach the standard of a high-level martial artist, the strength he can exert after taking drugs is simply difficult to reach the standard, let alone facing a profession like a mecha master, which is loaded with heavy firepower and high attack power. Even high-level martial artists with rich combat experience need to be extremely careful with special weapons to deal with the ultra-technological profession. And Su Chen didn't bring anything with him. With a mortal body, let alone winning, he really couldn't even hurt Wang Hao this time. It's over. That's it. Zhao Qian gave his own judgment, and Zhao Yu on the side also sighed helplessly. It seems that I have no choice but to teach Su Chen martial arts. Time is also fate. He has tried his best. But how can a mortal body compare to mechanical armor? In response to Zhao Yu's sigh, Zhao Qian didn't say anything. She looked at Su Chen on the central stage. Su Chen's beautiful eyes flashed. Although she had always rejected a lustful person like Su Chen, in fact, she had already made plans. Even if Su Chen loses here, it's not like she can't accept being Su Chen's master. As for the reason, Grandpa will probably be very happy when he sees it. Zhao Qian sighed softly when he thought of the poor old man who had devoted his whole life to martial arts. Chapter 64. He. Su Chen, you should have heard all the sounds around me. On the central stage number 5, Wang Hao, who was wearing crocodile leather shoes, stood opposite Su Chen. He touched his coquettish hair and laughed. Su Chen, you're lucky enough to stay till now. To be honest, I'm surprised, but that's it for now. Your luck has run out when you meet me, Wang Hao. Don't think that just because you defeated a mere glasses guy, you can get carried away and compete with your brother Wang and me. I tell you this is impossible. This third place is your limit, you can't go any further. Hurry up and get on your mecha. Facing Wang Hao's talk, Su Chen raised his eyes slightly and said lightly. As for Wang Hao, Su Chen was a little interested in him in this aspect. Although Su Chen's urging interrupted his pretentious speech, Wang Hao was not angry. Instead, he shook his head and sighed with a smile. His eyes radiated wisdom, as if he had completely seen through Su Chen's inner thoughts, and continued to point. Road. Su Chen, it seems that you are still unwilling to give up. You have not recognized the reality, and you are lucky enough to think that even if you don't have professional talent, you can compete with professional talents like you, Brother Wang, and me. For this reason, I even took a lot of drugs, damaged my foundation, and sacrificed my future. I sought short-term strength in order to achieve good results in this mock exam and prove myself. Prove that you haven't lost yet, prove that you are still the Su Chen of the past, prove that even if you haven't awakened, you can achieve great results as a professional talent, and immerse yourself in beautiful fantasies. It's so pitiful and pathetic. Hurry up and get on your mecha. Su Chen just replied to Wang Hao's long speech. It seemed that Su Chen's expression was too plain, which made Wang Hao a little unhappy. He raised his eyebrows, and then continued to say with a sarcastic smile on his lips. Su Chen, I understand what you are thinking. You want to defeat me as soon as possible to prove that you are not wrong. You want to defeat me as soon as possible to strengthen your inner thoughts. You want to defeat me as soon as possible to prove to the world that although you have failed in awakening, you are still the genius you were in the past. Quote. But, Su Chen, some things are destined and cannot be changed by your hard work. You, Brother Wang, and I. Hurry up and get on your mecha. This time, Su Chen directly interrupted Wang Hao's speech. In order to prevent Wang Hao from continuing his long speech, he even added a sarcastic sentence after finishing this sentence. Waste. It was these two words that made Wang Hao, who originally wanted to continue to deliver a victory speech, instantly become angry. Veins protruded on his forehead. He gritted his teeth and laughed. Okay, Su Chen, Brother Wang, I teach you well, but you don't listen. In this case, Brother Wang, I won't say any more. I will use Bang Bang's big mecha to shatter your unrealistic fantasies and tell you what the cruel reality is. Let you know who is the trash. Mecha body integration. As Wang Hao shouted angrily, orange light shone on the field. After the light dissipates, an orange mecha with a height of 4 to 5 meters and a metallic luster all over its body appeared on the ring. The crowd suddenly burst into cheers. Here we go. Here we go. Brother Wang is finally getting serious. Don't worry, Sister Xiaoya, Brother Wang will definitely help us vent our anger. Under the ring, Zhang San, Li Si and Zhao Xiaoya, who had a little red forehead, instantly showed joyful and expectant smiles on their faces. There were also waves of exclamations from the viewing platform in the live broadcast room. They were shocked by the big mecha that Wang Hao pulled out. It was hard to imagine how Su Chen, with his bare hands, could defeat such a steel giant. Su Chen, don't think that just because he defeated Sun Chang, a useless shield warrior, in the number 3 arena, he is also qualified. There is no need for provocation. I'm telling you, your brother Wang's big, hard mecha is not comparable to a loser like Sun Chang. With bare hands and no weapons, I don't know where you got the confidence to challenge my mecha. In the cockpit, Wang Hao showed a ferocious smile and said in a confident yet contemptuous tone. I won't bully you either. 100 moves. I'll give you 100 moves. Within 100 moves, if you can break my defense, I will admit defeat. If you can't break my defense, Jia, then don't blame you, Brother Wang. I'll teach you a lesson with my big hard mecha. 100 moves. Su Chen seemed a little disappointed after seeing Wang Hao's training machine. His eyes raised. The figure disappeared instantly. When he reappeared, he was already standing on Wang Hao's cockpit at an angle of 75 degrees from the ground. A hand was inserted into the fine steel outside the cockpit like a sharp blade, and he exerted force suddenly. Squeak. There was only a sharp sound of metal cutting and a tooth-breaking explosion of twisted steel. Under the random explosion of electromagnetic sparks, the tightly closed cockpit door was torn open by Su Chen's bare hands. The dazzling sunlight shines into the cockpit. A Taoist-shaped shadow is mapped into it. The smile on Wang Hao's face, who was laughing wildly and proudly, froze for an instant. He looked at the shadow in front of him, his eyes were in a trance, and his expression was dull, as if he hadn't understood what was going on. He could only hear the sound of Su Chen's interest waning in his ears, the sound of, "Who do you look down on as a trainer? Also let me do 100 moves. Say this again next time you bring out the fighter jets." Wang Hao. The familiar voice made Wang Hao's eyes gradually focus, as if he had adapted to the blinding white world around him, and saw clearly the face of the man in front of him who cast a shadow on his face. It was Su Chen. Who I am. Where am I? What am I doing? At this moment, 3 questions about life flashed through Wang Hao's mind. Where's my mecha? Where's my big hard mecha? I'm not in the cockpit. What's going on? It's so bright. The sun is so big, so dazzling. How did Su Chen open my cockpit door? Did I leave the door open when I came in? Countless questions burst into my mind, but I looked at Su Chen's big hand that gradually stretched out. A constant shadow covering the face. Let the thousands of words in Wang Hao's heart finally be condensed into one sentence. Well, Chen, Brother Chen, I'm a mecha master, I don't have the ability to directly attack the pilot. Under the dazzling sunshine, the giant steel beast that could be called a war weapon was torn apart with bare hands, and the driver was ripped out from the belly. The appearance of this extremely impactful scene simply shocked everyone's attention. Brother Wang, young brothers Zhang San and Li Si couldn't hold back at all, and they couldn't help but uttered foul language. Of course, the one who found it most difficult to accept this scene was Zhao Xiaoya. She looked at this scene with a pale face and a shaky figure. When Su Chen failed to awaken, she decided to break up with Su Chen and put Wang Hao in her number 99 spare tire position. But now Wang Hao actually. How could this happen? Xiao Li, the reporter on the viewing platform, lost her sight, and her cherry mouth murmured unconsciously, as if she had completely lost the ability to think. She had never been so shocked when Su Chen instantly killed the enhanced Sun Chang before. The appearance of this scene was so eye-catching. Dismantle the Gundam with bare hands. Blank. How is this possible? Even the lowest grade training machine is made of orange grade stainless steel. Its hardness and toughness are almost the same as the door of a bank vault. Let alone tearing it open with bare hands, ordinary rockets cannot explode it. Quote. How did he do that? This kind of expressive power, let alone a high-level martial artist, even a rank 2 martial master probably can't do it. The audience in the live broadcast room was also completely shocked. With their thinking and opinions, they were completely unable to understand the scene before them. How could it be like this? As the only rank 2 martial master present, Su Chen's martial Dao teacher Zhao Yu was looking at Su Chen like a monster, completely speechless. He can't do it, he really can't do it. Rank 2 martial master contains true qi in the body. Whether it is covered on the body surface or running in the body, it can greatly improve various functions of the human body, including faster speed, stronger strength, better physical endurance, and more responsive response, and can even block gun attacks to a certain extent. Compared with martial artist, there will be a qualitative change in the martial master state. But, I can't do it. I can't dismantle a Gundam with my bare hands. Zhao Yu shouted crazily in his heart. Although he has always said that Su Chen is very powerful and very talented. But I didn't say I would make you so defiant. No matter how powerful the martial master is, he is still a human being. How can he take apart such a strong mechanical creation with his bare hands? No matter what, he must have a suitable weapon in his hand. But what about Su Chen? I'm just a martial artist. I don't have anything in my hands. In this case, how much force does it take to tear the cockpit apart? Wrong. Didn't you notice that the most outrageous thing is how he reached inside the mecha and used his strength to tear open the hatch? In the barrage group with crazy discussions, finally someone discovered the core of the problem. Due to the particularity of the mecha master profession, as the pilot mecha master himself, he can be directly integrated into the interior of the mecha during the body integration. Therefore, when designing, each mecha is viewed from the outside. There is no gap to open the hatch, only the mecha master himself can open it from inside. That is to say, there is no such thing as a door handle in Wang Hao's cockpit. There is not even a crack in the door, but Su Chen forcibly penetrated it with his hand to create a crack. How the hell is this possible? How can human flesh and blood penetrate and tear apart alloy steel? Orange stainless steel is not a piece of cake. In this case, unless, could it be, snapped? Suddenly on the viewing platform, Zhao Qian's eyes suddenly shrank. She seemed to have thought of something, and her body suddenly slapped the table and stood up like a stress reaction. What's wrong, Hatsune? Zhao Yu, who was shouting crazily in his heart, turned his head with confusion on his face. Did you see anything? Zhao Qian did not answer immediately. She looked at Su Chen's snow-white skin, which shone like gold and jade in the sun, with her narrow eyes and shook her head woodenly. No, I must have seen it wrong. She sat down slowly, as if nothing had happened, but her mind kept recalling all the strange things that happened to Su Chen from the beginning to now. The luster of gold and jade is reflected in the sun, and the skin is so perfect and beautiful that women envy and envy. In just 10 days, he went from a martial artist who had never entered the rank to a strength comparable to that of a high-level martial artist, and it doesn't seem that his foundation is unstable after taking a lot of drugs. He can blow up the 3rd layer protective ring of the armored bullet with one punch, and tear open the orange steel training cabin door with his bare hands. Zhao Qian recalled this series of things about Su Chen. On the surface, there was not much change, but her heart was gradually filled with turbulent waves. Putting aside the tinted glasses that Su Chen liked to bring girls with him, she found that Su Chen's performance was too amazing and too exaggerated. It was not something that could be explained by the so-called martial Dao talent seen once in 10 years. At least I have never heard of anyone doing this in the past 100 years. If it is really what I think, it will be a big deal. I am afraid that the entire martial Dao alliance will be alarmed. Zhao Qian looked at Su Chen below, her eyes flickering. It is a serious matter. She needs to observe it more carefully. ... Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Under the ring, the glasses brother who glued his glasses together with glue shook his head and shouted in disbelief. How could Su Chen be so powerful? If he can tear apart even the steel mecha, then he can tear me apart alive in the ring just now. Doesn't that mean that my glasses brother is the weakest one among the top 4? You said those words in the ring, and you were introducing yourself the whole time. What else do you think? How do you think your brother Sun's shield broke? Sun Chang looked at the fragments of the shield in his hand, and his brain was a little down. It's okay in the past. But now I have awakened the noble A-level profession, the great shield hero. How can I still be better than Su Chen, a martial artist? Sun Chang's eyes were dazed, and he felt like he had a dream. Brother Chen. Gangzi on the side looked a little silent. Yes, he is just a martial artist. Even if he has a martial Dao talent that only appears once in a decade, he has not even awakened his profession. How can he beat Wang Hao, who is driving a mecha, with his bare hands? No, this is not true, this must not be true. How could he tear open Wang Hao's mecha? Zhao Xiaoya fell into deep self-doubt. Am I wrong? I am not worthy of Su Chen. Pa pa pa. Just when everyone was talking and in a trance, shocked by the scene of Su Chen tearing the mecha with his hands and doubting his life, a crisp applause sounded in the field. Zhang Feng, wearing a gold necklace and a black anima suit, stood up, and said with a wicked smile on his lips. Su Chen, you are really a hidden talent. I didn't expect that you are the swordsmanship great master in the turtle copy. Swordsmanship great master. Everyone was puzzled and focused their eyes on Zhang Feng. A few days ago, when we were spawning monsters in the turtle dungeon, we found someone using the turtle back rock to practice swordsmanship. The swordsmanship was superb, the sword was sharp, and the turtle back rock was as hard as steel. It was like cutting tofu in front of him. It was split in two, the cut was smooth, and there was no sign of any difficulty. At that time, young Master Zhang suspected that there was a great master with superb swordsmanship hidden among us, but he didn't know. According to the current theory, Mr. Zhang, do you suspect that the great master of swordsmanship is Su Chen? The pot lid head at the back answers people's questions. Great master of swordsmanship, sword practice. But I saw that he inserted it with his hand. Where is the sword? Regarding the doubts about Zhang San, Li Si and others. The evil smile on Zhang Feng's face remained unchanged, his eyes were extremely wise, and he spoke with confidence as if he had seen through everything. Nano sword. It's a nano sword. I wonder if you have noticed that when Su Chen's palm penetrated Wang Hao's cockpit, a light golden light flashed, and at the same time there was a sound of metal collision. As we all know, a flesh and blood body will not make a clanging sound when it collides with metal, nor will it emit any golden sparks, so it is a nano sword. Su Chen hid the nano alloy sword in his hand. Nano alloy sword. The full name is Polymer Oscillating Ultra-Frequency Nanoscale Bioalloy Sword. This kind of nano-bioalloy sword has the characteristics of flowing water and can be freely transformed into any shape, such as bracelets, necklaces, watches, etc. It is extremely concealed and hidden on the body, making it difficult for outsiders to distinguish it with the naked eye. And because of its ultra-high frequency molecular oscillation mode, this kind of nano sword is extremely lethal. Even the lowest configuration of nanometers can easily cut through various types of steel and concrete with tens of thousands of molecular vibrations per second, and cut off tanks and artillery. It is an extremely lethal branch of all technological weapons. Of course, everything has pros and cons. Although the nano sword has extremely high biological properties, it is easy to conceal and has strong lethality. The top version can even be connected to the brain to automatically kill enemies. It is extremely easy to use in all aspects. But the biggest drawback is that it's expensive. Even the lowest level nano sword, which vibrates thousands of times per second, is sold by milliliter, with an average of 100,000 per milliliter. You must know that the disposable paper cup is only approximately 250 milliliters filled with water. In other words, a nano sword with half a cup of water would cost millions to buy. It can barely be used as a small dagger. It can be called the silver flowing gold in the weapons world. You also know that Su Chen wants to win too much. He fights monsters with us and takes drugs. But even so, he is just an ordinary martial artist and it is difficult for him to break through Sun Chang's defense or Wang Hao's mecha. So he bought a nano sword and hid it in his mecha specifically to target Wang Hao. With this nano sword hidden in the cuff, it can emerge when necessary. With the high-frequency lethality of the nano sword vibrating tens of thousands of times per second, it is not difficult to tear the armor of Wang Hao's training machine. Zhang Feng talked eloquently for a while. The brilliance of wisdom radiating from his body shocked everyone who saw him, and they felt that the fog that had previously plagued their hearts instantly dissipated. The only thing they couldn't understand. Zhang Feng, how do you know this? How do you know so much about Nano Sword? Sun Chang asked the last question that everyone was concerned about. Ahem. Zhang Feng secretly covered the silver watch on his sleeve. After he coughed, he realized that no one was paying attention to his watch, so he continued with a sigh of relief. The answer is simple. Do you still remember what happened when Su Chen fought against us in the dungeon? I have calculated that among the 10 dungeons that Su Chen has cleared these days, the total number of wild monster corpses can be sold for 2 to 3 million to buy a nano sword of the lowest specifications. Yes and no. As Zhang Feng spoke, he turned to look at Su Chen on the ring. There was a devilish and confident smile on his lips, which seemed to be telling Su Chen, I've seen through all your little tricks, so don't pretend. Okay, take out the nano sword. Single quote. Wow. As soon as these words came out, the crowd was boiling instantly. Nothing to say. The case is solved. The reason why Su Chen was able to tear Wang Hao's mecha apart with his bare hands was entirely because he had a nano sword hidden in his body. 666. This reasoning is simply exploding my brain cells. Not only the arena, but also the audience in the live broadcast room were all shocked by Zhang Feng's reasoning, and all of them double-clicked 666. Otherwise, how can he be an A-level professional? In terms of details, it is indeed our master Zhang. The bald man and the muscular man laughed proudly. From dots to lines, from threads to surfaces, from grass to gray lines, from foreshadowing to thousands of miles away, everything is connected, everything is connected. No wonder I was wondering where all the corpses that Su Chen had brushed went. It turned out that he sold them all and bought nano swords. Mr. Zhang is really the smartest man in our number. One middle school. He can think of this. How despicable and shameless. He has a nano sword hidden on his body, but he still pretends to be unarmed, and harms my brother Wang. My brother Wang accidentally underestimated the enemy and fell into a trap. It's simply an unfair victory. Ah, is that so? Hatsune. Zhang Feng's reasoning was believed by all the students who were watching, and even the big guys on the viewing platform nodded with a look of sudden enlightenment. Zhao Yu on the side couldn't help but ask. This. Zhao Qian opened her pink and rosy red lips, but couldn't say a word. She even felt that Zhang Feng's analysis was more reasonable and more likely than her own guess. Zhang Feng nodded with satisfaction at the reaction of the crowd's admiration. Cool, it's worth his brain cells to analyze and reason out the answer. But it's not the most exciting time yet. As we all know, in a reasoning game like this, the most exciting time is when the criminal takes out the weapon of crime, kneels down and cries and admits his mistake. So, Su Chen, don't hide it, take out your nano sword and show it to everyone. Zhang Feng turned his head and looked at Su Chen and urged him. So my shield was also broken by your nano sword. Sun Chang on the side also cast an indignant look. Is that so? Su Chen. On the central stage, on the torn cockpit, Wang Hao, who was grabbed by his clothes and had 2 panda eyes, couldn't help but question Su Chen angrily. You actually have a nano sword hidden on you. Really, baby? If I had known that you had a nano sword hidden on you, how could I lose to you so easily? Under the attention of everyone looked at Su Chen, wanting to confirm this fact from Su Chen. However, Su Chen ignored these looks. He glanced at Zhang Feng who looked confident below, and just sighed, human imagination is really rich. After that, he didn't want to respond anymore, and looked at Wang Hao in front of him again. Hurry up, Su Chen, do you have anything hidden on you? Bang bang. Wang Hao's eyes were wide open, his face was full of anger, and he wanted to question Su Chen with dissatisfaction, but he stopped talking halfway. Su Chen punched Wang Hao in the face with 2 punches from left and right. He said in a cold tone. Don't worry about the nano sword for now. Do you remember clearly what I just said? Don't fly this crappy training machine next time. Come over with a fighter jet and fight me. It's best to save enough money to buy a Gundam and fly it out. To be honest, Su Chen was a little disappointed. He still values Wang Hao a little bit. After all, which man doesn't have the dream of dismantling a Gundam with his bare hands? I thought that Wang Hao would buy a Gundam and fly it in this mock test, but he didn't expect that it would be fine if he didn't fly a fighter jet. Instead, he would still fly this crappy training aircraft. There are mass-produced training machines all over the streets. What's the point of taking them apart? Stop fighting, Brother Chen. I heard you clearly. After being punched twice, Wang Hao became honest and no longer worried about whether Su Chen had a nano sword hidden in him, but the corners of his mouth twitched. He would also like to fly a fighter jet or a Gundam, but they are very expensive and require money. A standard fighter jet costs at least 50 million, and Gundams cost tens of billions, hundreds of billions, or trillions. He is a person who has only been awakened for a few days. No matter how rich his family is, he cannot use a fighter jet. He should use a Gundam to practice. If he practices like this, no matter how much money he has, he will not be able to waste it. In addition, the matching degree of high-end mechas is still a bit low now, and I can't open it even if I want to, so I opened a training machine to play, otherwise you think I want to. Just think about it clearly. I hope you can change into a better-looking fighter next time we meet. Su Chen nodded, and then threw Wang Hao directly off the ring. He jumped from the cockpit. After turning around and kicking the broken training machine out of the ring, his eyes focused on Zhang Feng, who was the only one left. This is so irritating. Seeing that Su Chen didn't admit that there was a nano sword in his hand, Zhang Feng was not anxious. He just smiled and his silver-white watch shone in the sun. As he walked onto the stage, he talked freely. Su Chen, do you think you can threaten me with a good weapon hidden in your hand? How ridiculous. A true strong man never relies on these external things. Today, Mr. Japan is here to tell you what it means to have overwhelming strength. After a sound, Zhang Feng jumped into the ring. Wow! Huge cheers instantly erupted from the crowd. The final battle begins. ... Viewers, have you all seen it? Have you all seen it? The final battle to determine the top spot in the number 1 middle school mock test is about to begin. In this decisive battle, can Su Chen continue his past mythical performance and win the first place in the exam again? Who will win the mysterious grand prize worth 100 million in the end? Let's wait and see. On the viewing platform, reporter Xiaoli said excitedly facing the camera, stirring up the atmosphere inside and outside the live broadcast room. Before the finals start, I have a question for you. Different from the lively atmosphere around, there was a bit of silence next to the principal's chair. At this moment, the principal crossed his hands and put them on his chin, and asked with a serious face. By the way, who is the strongest A-level professional in your eyes? Zhang Feng. Wang Mang, Zhang Feng's class teacher, said it without hesitation. It's Zhang Feng. It depends on the specific situation, but I think it should be Zhang Feng. Wang Hao, the head teacher of Class 3, also gave his own answer. Well, if we don't consider the professionals from the second and third middle schools, I think it should be Zhang Feng. As Zhang Feng's teacher Marshal Dao, Zhao Yu gave a comparison after a moment of contemplation. A more rigorous answer. A-level professional Gale swordsman. Mastering the power of swordsmanship and wind at the same time can be regarded as the body integration of a warrior and a mage. You can attack at close range and defend at a distance. Whether it is a close combat competition or a long-range combat, you have advantages. You can use both hands. In terms of speed, agility, and flexibility, they are all top-notch, especially in terms of lethality. With the combination of swordsmanship and wind, he should be the strongest among A-level professions. Come on, Mr. Zhang. Down with Su Chen, eliminate Su Chen. The crowd cheered, the old and the new alternated, the times changed, the new king replaced the old king and so on. They liked to see it the most. Come on Zhang Feng, you are the best, our family's 100 million depends on you. My mother loves you. The atmosphere was fiery. Su Chen, did you hear that? This is the general trend. On the ring, Zhang Feng opened his hands and enjoyed the cheers from all directions. He said with an evil smile on his lips. Everyone is hoping to see you lose. Then I'm going to disappoint you. Although less. But there are people watching me from behind, hoping that I win. Su Chen looked around and found it interesting. He didn't do anything harmful, so why did so many people want to see him lose? Ha ha ha. Zhang Feng laughed. Su Chen, it is inevitable that new things will replace old things. This era is for professional awakeners, not a stage for losers like you. You don't really think that you can beat me if you have a nano sword hidden in your body. I tell you that these are just external things. To make iron, you need to be strong yourself. Whether it's the strength that was forcibly enhanced by taking drugs or the nano sword hidden on your body, you are so pitiful, Su Chen. You can only rely on these external things to save your self-esteem. Zhang Feng has not forgotten his purpose. In this decisive match, he not only wanted to win the first place, but also wanted to completely shatter Su Chen's self-esteem and humiliate him to the point of complete indignity. I will crush your illusions and make you realize the reality. Let me tell you that this world belongs to the awakened. I think you, a waste who has failed to awaken, can only struggle at the bottom. If you want to catch up with me, then do your best, be ugly, lick the awakening potion on the ground clean, and become stronger after awakening. Until you are strong enough to take revenge on me, I will wait for you at the top. Cut the nonsense. Let's start quickly. The fighting time is not as much as the nonsense you are talking about. In this mock test, the only person who made Su Chen feel threatened was Lang Ruyu. But now that Lang Ruyu didn't even participate, then he, Zhang Feng and others still what's there to say? Start early, finish early. Su Chen, I didn't expect you to be so arrogant. That's good. I just like how unruly you are now. I hope you can still have this attitude in front of me later. Zhang Feng stopped smiling, there was a cold light in his eyes, and he no longer wanted to say anything more to Su Chen. A breeze blew through the space. Before you take action, remember this. Su Chen, I, Zhang Feng, am the man destined to leave a shadow for your life. Wind blade. A cold light suddenly appeared in Zhang Feng's eyes, and a light cyan wind blade flew out from his hand, tearing the air and heading straight for Su Chen. Call. There were bursts of exclamations from the crowd. It's wind blade. This is a wind blade that can easily cut off a marble concrete pillar. Master Zhang, does he want to kill Su Chen? Even if Su Chen's physical fitness is twice as good as ours, his flesh and blood body can't stop the wind blade's cutting. A familiar scene happened again. Zhang Feng seemed to have known what the Taoists were worried about. After the wind blade was shot out, he patted the non-existent dust on his anima suit, and explained slowly with a devilish smile on his lips. Don't worry, this is just a small wind blade, I lowered the output intentionally. I won't cut people off directly. The power is almost equivalent to being slashed with a knife. There's nothing I can do about it. This is already my method with the least attack power. If Su Chen can't take it, then... Snapped. A clear voice sounded in the field. The wind blade that attacked Su Chen was casually swatted away by Su Chen. The breeze blows on my face, blowing my hair. The fragments of the scattered wind blade scratched past his ears and could not even cut a single strand of his hair. That's it. Su Chen sounded a little disappointed. The reason why he was interested in Zhang Feng was because he heard that Zhang Feng had the highest attack damage as the owner of the Gale swordsman profession, and he wanted to use Zhang Feng to judge the effectiveness limit of his Golden Jade Dragon Emperor body after the great accomplishment. But he didn't expect Zhang Feng's attack to be so crispy, which disappointed him. This powerful wind blade can be ignored when I practice basic accomplishment. Ah, this. Master Zhang. This sudden scene made everyone stunned, especially Brother Glasses, who always felt that this scene was a bit familiar. He still remembered it, as if he was the one who was after his attack was easily received by Su Chen, and was immediately eliminated. Young Master Zhang shouldn't be able to. Faced with the strange and suspicious looks cast by everyone, and the unabashed look of disappointment in Su Chen's eyes, Zhang Feng's face turned red and blue, and he was extremely embarrassed. Test. It was just a test. Very good, Su Chen, you have successfully passed my test. Next, you will be qualified to witness my true strength. Multiple wind blade. Zhang Feng shouted in embarrassment and waved his hands towards Su Chen. This time, dozens of wind blades flew towards Su Chen at the same time. No matter in terms of power or speed, it was much better than the one at the beginning. A wind blade is obviously going to be a step higher. The wind blade whizzed past, even the air was cut into two pieces. Wow, there was a commotion among the crowd. I just said it's impossible for Mr. Zhang to act like that. It turns out that this is Mr. Zhang's true strength. This will make my father feel relieved. Zhang Feng's father, Zhang Yangwei, also breathed a sigh of relief on the viewing platform. It scared him just now. The treasure he took out this time in order to seize the city lord's palace is a rare item. Although the market price is 100 million, it is often marketable and priceless. It is put at auction, especially during this time when candidates across the country are sprinting for the college entrance examination. It's not a problem to shoot for 200 to 300 million yuan. He also got this rare thing by chance. If it weren't for the company's longer-term development, he would be reluctant to take it out and give it to Lang Ruyu. Now that Lang Ruyu has not come, his idea is not to let the rich water go to other people's fields. Wouldn't it be better to keep it for his son? But just now Zhang Feng showed his hips, and he had a strong sense of visibility just like the glasses guy. He was so startled that he almost thought that the mysterious treasure he sponsored would be lost to outsiders. But now it seems, Zhang Feng is worthy of being his son Zhang Yangwei. I still have the strength to protect my family's treasure. Snapped. Paw, paw, paw. A series of crisp sounds rang out on the ring, and Zhang Yangwei's thoughts suddenly stopped. He looked down. On the ring, he saw that dozens of enhanced wind blades that attacked Su Chen were all dispersed by Su Chen with one hand, just like the previous wind blade. It was fine that his feet did not move at all, and his other hand was even behind his back without being taken out. There was no sign of any effort in it. At this moment, Zhang Yangwei's heart stopped. No way, no way, young Master Zhang, you won't last as long as you talk nonsense, as Su Chen said. This series of slaps not only made Zhang Yangwei on the viewing platform pale and his heart stopped, but also made the students watching under the ring quiet down. Only whispers sounded below, and all kinds of strange looks, hiding from sight, pointing and talking behind the back. It made Zhang Feng on the ring completely angry. With a flushed face, he pulled out the long sword on his waist and threw the scabbard aside. Su Chen, don't think you can beat me by breaking a few of my wind blades. Let me show you the value of the word, swordsman, in my wind swordsmanship. Zhang Feng shouted angrily. He no longer hid his strength. The light blue wind was under his feet. He moved in a Z-shaped snake skin and approached Su Chen rapidly. When he was about 10 meters away from Su Chen, Zhang Feng suddenly jumped up from the ground, holding the hilt with both hands, and slashed down at Su Chen's head with inertia. Draw your sword, Su Chen. The sword in his hand swung down fiercely, and Zhang Feng roared at Su Chen with red eyes. This young master admits that you are qualified to fight with me with all your strength. Take out the nano sword hidden in your body quickly, otherwise don't blame me for hurting you. The sharp blade chopped down, and a sharp whistling sound came. Su Chen looked up and sighed softly. Draw the sword. I've already said that I don't have a nano sword on me. The sharp blade kept getting bigger in his eyes. Looking at the sharp blade that was about to cut him and his family, he didn't have any intention of dodging. He just opened his 5 fingers and stretched out his hand to grab it under Zhang Feng's shocked gaze. Dang! A clanging sound like metal hitting metal rang out on the ring. Dazzling sparks burst out in his eyes. The sharp sword that could easily cut steel bars and iron mud was held tightly in Su Chen's palm, unable to move, and even made a squeaking and twisting sound that made people's teeth ache. Such a scene appeared. It shocked everyone inside and outside the arena. Catch the blade with bare hands. I knock. First he dismantled the Gundam with bare hands, and then caught the blade with bare hands. Su Chen's performance is getting more and more inhuman. The long sword in Zhang Xiao's hand is made of meteorites from outer space. It has the power to cut hair and iron like mud. I heard that a sword is worth hundreds of thousands. In addition, Zhang Xiao's swordsmanship and the blessing of the wind double success, let alone human flesh and blood, even steel mechas can be cut with marks. Why is it that Su Chen? Shish, don't talk about Su Chen, look at Zhang Xiao. Before the discussion, someone signaled his companions to stop talking loudly and look at the ring. On the ring at this moment, Zhang Feng, who has always been considered the most powerful, is pressing his feet tightly on the ground, holding the hilt with both hands and trying hard to pull the long sword out of Su Chen's hand. However, Zhang Feng, with his mouth open and eyes closed, grunted and shrugged for a long time, couldn't help but make a series of meaningless effort sounds, his face flushed, and even sweat on his forehead, but he still didn't pull the blade out of Su Chen's hand. Such an ugly appearance. The students around him who wanted to shout loudly because Su Chen caught the blade with his bare hands couldn't help but cover their mouths, no longer shocked, but stared at Zhang Feng with strange eyes and began to whisper. No way. What's the situation? Master Zhang, this is. The whispers around him were not loud. But it's extremely insulting. Even if Zhang Feng didn't look back, he could still feel all kinds of pointing fingers from the classmates behind him, which made Zhang Feng's already red face turn even redder. Su Chen, you still said you didn't hide the nano sword. Don't think that I can't see the nano sword covered in fluid form in the palm of my hand. I was so excited just now. Do you think we are fools? Zhang Feng roared in an attempt to divert everyone's attention. He no longer struggled with the long sword in Su Chen's hand. He realized that he had underestimated Su Chen. Sensing a sense of crisis from Su Chen, he decisively chose to abandon the sword and jump back, quickly pulling away from Su Chen. Distance. Then he calmed down his breathing. When he took a deep breath and let it out slowly, the redness on his face finally dropped a bit. Very good, Su Chen. I didn't expect you to be able to push me to this extent. To be honest, it really exceeded my expectations. But do you think I lose if you take away the sword? Zhang Feng sneered. He seemed to have some extremely confident trump card that he hadn't used yet. Even if the wind blade was broken and the weapon was taken away, the corners of his mouth could still be raised with that evil smile after being so ugly. Hee, innocent, how naive. Little did you know that you have broken my seal. Su Chen, congratulations, you will have the honor to see me in my prime. Okay, why are you talking so much nonsense? A sonorous sound. The sword blade in his hand instantly shattered. Su Chen threw Zhang Feng's broken sword blade on the ground and waved. If you have any tricks, use them quickly. He is still waiting to use Zhang Feng to test the endurance limit of his leather refining great accomplishment. Glancing at his broken sword blade from the corner of his eye, Zhang Feng's eyes twitched and he gritted his teeth and said. Good, Su Chen, you forced me to do this. If you can't catch it later, don't blame me if you die. After Zhang Feng finished speaking, he opened his hands and embraced the void, seeming to be guiding some energy. Not a moment. Whoosh. The tide surges. Above the arena, the sound of wind gradually sounded, from small to loud, becoming more and more shrill. There were countless sickle and weasel beasts hidden in the rising wind. The sound of wind passed by, leaving scratches on the flat marble floor. It seemed as if the claws of wild beasts had scratched the scratches on the ground. More and more sharp. Call out. A sharp wind blade roared over. Su Chen turned sideways slightly, and the wind blade swiped across the cuff, leaving a neat cut, revealing the white skin underneath. Something. Su Chen looked surprised, not because of the power of this wind blade, but. He looked around. He discovered that this strong wind was centered on him, rising in an encircling force, like a curtain pouring into the sky, and endless wind blades swarmed towards him. Ha ha ha. Face Hayate. Su Chen. Eat my tornado move. Invincible. Tornado. Outside the whirlwind, Zhang Feng's whole body burst into green light. He opened his hands wide and laughed wildly. This trick of the whirlwind invincible tornado was extremely draining on him, ranging from anemia and lack of oxygen for 3 to 5 days to kidney deficiency and inability to lift for half a month. He has never used it since he learned it. And you feel lucky. Su Chen, you are the lucky one to be the first to try it. Ha ha ha. A violent tornado. With Su Chen as the center, it rose instantly, roaring into the sky dozens of meters high, as if it swallowed Su Chen's entire body. It was so powerful that it not only swept the water from the surrounding moat into the sky, but also cut the marble floor. The two broken sword blades were all swept up, flying sand and rocks. Wow, this time the scene was really boiling. So scary. I can summon a tornado by raising my hand. I didn't expect that my true strength, Mr. Zhang, is so terrifying. Let me just say that I, Mr. Zhang, held back my hand before. Now it seems that is indeed the case. This is the true strength of our Mr. Zhang. Mr. Zhang, you gave birth to a good son. This kind of power is not to mention a martial artist who has just broken through. Even an ordinary martial master would not dare to take advantage of it head-on after encountering it. Although your child has just awakened, he has the power of rank 2. In my opinion, the number 1 in this mock test has been determined. Zhang Feng's class teacher, Wang Mang nodded and said something. Wherever it goes, it's better for you, teacher. Zhang Yangwei replied happily and politely. He looked at the battle situation below, his eyes narrowed, and there was a cheerful smile inside. Although the answer seemed very modest, it did not deny the fact that the first place in this mock test belonged to his child. Oops, nothing will happen to Su Chen. While the crowd was still marveling at the power of Zhang Feng's move, Zhao Yu stood up suddenly on the viewing platform and exclaimed. Wang Meng's voice reminded him. Even he didn't dare to resist Zhang Feng's move. He could only break out of the tornado as soon as possible. Otherwise, once he was surrounded by the tornado, even if he was rank 2 martial master and his true chi was exhausted, he would be dead. And his ability to break out of the tornado was purely because as a martial master, he was able to cover his body with true chi to form a protective layer. But Su Chen can't do it. Su Chen is only a high-level martial artist at best. He has not yet been promoted to martial master. Without true chi in his body, how can he withstand such an overwhelming wind blade attack, let alone break out? The tornado has not changed yet. If it turns blood red, it means Su Chen is lucky. I'll save him. The more he thought about it, the more anxious he became. Zhang Feng started to move, but Zhao Qian held his shoulders down. Wait, Uncle Zhao, what are you waiting for? If you wait any longer, Su Chen might turn into meat paste. Zhao Yu turned around incomprehensibly, only to see Zhao Qian frowning slightly and staring directly at the tornado below. He is not simple. Not simple. What's not simple? Zhao Qian shook his head and said nothing. He just narrowed his eyes and looked at the tornado in the center of the ring very seriously, as if he wanted to see the scene inside through the airtight wind wall. Maybe others didn't notice, but she, who had been suspicious for a long time, saw clearly that when Su Chen knocked Zhang Feng's wind blade away earlier, he didn't hit it against the blade, but directly hit it with his hand. It was no different from a hard hit. Logically speaking, if a martial artist is directly connected to the wind blade, not to mention directly cutting off the hands and feet, at least some blood will be shed. But the result was that when the two collided, Zhang Feng's wind blade was shattered instead. Su Chen's hand was still intact and did not appear to be injured at all. This is obviously inconsistent with common sense. This made Zhao Qian's suspicions a step further. As for whether it was exactly what she thought, it would depend on whether Su Chen could get out of this tornado. That's not good. Brother Chen. Below the ring, Zhao Gang clenched his fists worriedly. Although his brother Chen's strength was a little beyond his expectation, and he didn't seem to need his protection very much, one thing was worth it. As a guardian knight known for his defense, he only needed one move to protect the fortress to defeat Zhang Feng's move. But brother Chen is not a professional who has a mortal body. How can he survive this? No movement for so long. Is Su Chen dead inside? Wang Hao and Sun Chang not far away couldn't help but muttered. Miss Ruizu, aren't you going to take action? This young man's attack is so violent. If you don't take action, I'm afraid the best treatment time will be delayed. Jack's kind voice sounded slowly, with a smile on his lips. Very satisfied with Zhang Feng's behavior, if possible, it is not impossible to bring him into my temple of light for training. Bai Ruizu didn't speak, just stared at the tornado below with her eyes tightly, her little hands clenched until they turned white. Ding 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 ding. When everyone was thinking about Su Chen's life safety. Within the eye of the roaring tornado, there was a continuous sound of metal collisions, like forging iron, jingling and clanging, mixed in with the howling of the strong wind. Countless large and small wind blades hit Su Chen. Sparks flew. Just the tiny fragments of the wind blade that broke apart were enough to leave traces on the marble floor that looked like sword slashes. The damage was astonishing. However, such a lethal attack could only tear Su Chen's clothes into pieces, revealing the fair and beautiful skin like gold and jade underneath. The sharp wind blade scraped against the surface of Su Chen's skin, but it felt like a breeze blowing on his face. The defense can never be broken. Not to mention bleeding, not even a hair was injured, but all this was covered by the wind curtain and outsiders could not see it. Sharp. This move is really powerful. During the wind blade baptism, Su Chen only had a pair of tattered underwear hanging around his waist. He pinched his chin and looked at the hundreds of wind blades attacking from all directions. He nodded slightly and did not hesitate to praise Zhang Feng. The advantages of professionals are indeed not comparable to those of martial artists in some areas. It's like Zhang Feng's whirlwind invincible tornado. If he were not a man with the body of a golden and jade dragon, great accomplishment, and a skin as smooth as gold and jade, he would be able to ignore this level of attack. Otherwise, consider it purely from the perspective of martial artist. Su Chen really couldn't think of any good solution. Either you have to hide, use evasive methods, and wait until Zhang Feng outside is exhausted and unable to sustain this tornado. Or you have some equipment prepared in advance so you can rush out. But of these two methods, one is an extreme test of physical skills. It is difficult for elite disciples who are not carefully cultivated by the ancient martial arts family to escape without injury. Even for layman martial artists taught in schools like them, it is basically impossible to escape. As for preparing equipment in advance, there's nothing much to say about it. The money-making boss is great wherever he goes. But, although Zhang Feng's move was a bit beyond his expectation, but Su Chen was disappointed. Snapped, he casually swatted away a wind blade who wanted to cut his underwear into pieces. He looked down at his jade-white palms, sighed softly. Although Zhang Feng's move increased the attack range. But to be honest, the attack power of each wind blade did not increase much, and it still did not allow him to test the carrying limit of his great accomplishment. The Gale swordsman is famous for his attack power and speed. I wonder if he has any trump cards. Although Zhang Feng still wanted to see if Zhang Feng had other tricks to help him test the upper limit of Pai Ruyu's effect. But Su Chen focused his attention on himself. Only one panty left. It's still in tatters. After thinking for a moment, Su Chen decided to forget it. It's being broadcast live. Fighting in the ring wearing only underwear has a bad influence on teenagers. If you move a little too much during the battle and accidentally tear your underwear, running naked across the country will be even more immoral. So, let's forget it. Let's make a quick decision. After defeating Zhang Feng in seconds, I can borrow some clothes from him to wear. I haven't worn Anima brand clothes in my 2 lifetimes. After thinking about it, Su Chen raised his head and looked at the vast wind curtain in front of him with a pair of eyes. The golden light in his eyes raised a hand and stretched it forward. The 5 fingers seemed to grasp something hidden in the wind. Swing down suddenly. Dragon scales. Roar. A golden light appears. Accompanied by a faint sound of dragon roar, dazzling golden light suddenly bloomed in the tornado. Ha ha ha. How do you feel, Su Chen? It doesn't feel good inside. You forced me to do this. I've warned you a long time ago. Don't rely on me to die. I haven't seen much movement inside for so long. Zhang Feng felt that Su Chen probably died inside, and he couldn't help laughing. Even if he didn't die under the baptism of my invincible tornado, I'm afraid he would still be half disabled now. I won this duel after all. It is inevitable that the things of the new era will replace the things of the old era, just like the awakened ones replaced the martial artists. From now on, number 1 middle school will be my world, Zhang Feng. You're taking advantage of Zhang Feng. Sun Cheng and Wang Hao were so angry that they gritted their teeth and secretly resented it. Su Chen had been sitting at the top position in their number 1 middle school for so long, and there was already a layer of glory lingering around him. And the first person to pull Su Chen down from the altar would naturally get the most glory and the highest share. Focus on. As Zhang Feng said, from now on, number 1 middle school will probably be his world. No one in the world knows you. Using Su Chen as a stepping stone, I am afraid that Zhang Feng, who has reached the top spot, will become a daily topic for all the beautiful junior high school girls in our number 1 middle school. From now on, it will not be a problem to hug each other and have a harem. He may even be able to be like Su Chen. It can also attract the attention of goddess Lang Ruyu. After thinking of this, Sun Cheng and Wang Hao immediately looked at Zhang Feng with envy and jealousy. Ha ha ha, cool, that's the look in your eyes. I like the look in your eyes. You two failed losers. I, Zhang Feng, announce once again that from now on, the F4 combination of no 1 middle school will no longer exist. I, Zhang Feng, will be the only emperor and the only beauty will be the emperor. The looks in Wang Hao and Sun Cheng's eyes made Zhang Feng feel happy. After feeling refreshed for a while, he couldn't help but touch his chin, with a devilish smile on his lips. I wonder what Kasaragi is doing now. Have you seen my majestic posture? If Ruyu sees this scene, she might be attracted by my invincible posture of Zhongfeng crushing Su Chen, so. Hehehehe. Roar. When Zhongfeng wanted to eat the peach, a loud voice suddenly sounded. Zhongfeng, what are you doing? Brother Chen has stopped moving. If you don't stop the tornado quickly, do you really want to kill me, Brother Chen? When Zhongfeng started to think about it, Zhao Gang's anxious shouts were also heard from under the ring. Cry. Sorry, I always forget about my defeated generals. I will dispel the tornado right now. Zhao Gang's reminder made Zhongfeng in the ring react. His purpose was to leave a deep psychological shadow on Su Chen, to make Su Chen realize the reality, and to accept Lang Ruyu's charity by kneeling down and licking the awakening potion would not really kill Su Chen. If he accidentally killed Su Chen, how could he explain it to Lang Ruyu? So Su Chen, you'd better be strong. Zhongfeng faced the tornado and stretched out a hand from a distance, preparing to release the ultimate move. The medical team is ready. Pastor Nurse is ready to rescue. Watch the live broadcast room, don't forget to pinch it off later. Here, even before Zhongfeng lifted the tornado, the host school was busy, carrying stretchers and bandages, medical staff were ready, and even the live broadcast room was ready to cut off the scene at any time for fear that the scene would be too bloody. Miss Ruizu, let's go. It's over here. On the high platform, Jack's eyes returned to indifference. He no longer paid attention to Su Chen and turned to Bai Ruizu beside him. With the school's new professional medical team here, even if he is cut in half, he can be brought back. We have nothing to do with him here anymore. Please come back with me to be baptized by the divine liquid of light. The great protector should be waiting impatiently. If you don't go back, I'll be forced to do so. Bai Ruizu held the guardrail in front of her tightly with both hands. She shook her head and said nothing, her eyes still staring at the tornado in the center of the ring. Seeing this, Jack frowned, but didn't press any further. He remembered what the protector had said to him before he came. It's good to take a look. Seeing how embarrassed and ugly he will be later can also help you better break the good impression he left in your heart in the past. I'll help you put an end to your thoughts and become a better saintess, the priest of my religion of light. Did I guess wrong? On the other side, seeing that Su Chen hadn't come out of Zhongfeng's tornado for a long time, Zhao Qian sat back with a disappointed expression. Guessed something wrong. Hatsuyin, what on earth did you misunderstand just now? Why did you stop me from going to rescue Su Chen? Zhao Yu looked at him with a questioning look on his face. Zhao Qian laughed bitterly. Uncle Zhao, it's not that I deliberately wanted to stop you from rescuing Su Chen, but I just discovered that Su Chen is likely to have the skin of martial Dao. Roar. Suddenly, just when Zhongfeng reached out and prepared to lift the invincible tornado. A sound like a dragon's roar suddenly sounded inside the tornado. The dazzling golden light was like a sharp sword energy, penetrating through the white wind curtain, as if the golden dragon of the 95th Supreme was blocked by the small wind curtain and was furiously waving its claws inside. The entire tens of meters high tornado wind curtain was torn to pieces in an instant. Buzz. The wind is blowing. A shadow gradually appeared clearly in front of people. On the stage, the sun shone on Su Chen's body, and every muscle on his body, including his chest muscles, abdominal muscles, and latissimus dorsi, were clearly visible. They were as sharp and angular as a chisel, tight and thick, and full of power, but they did not look bloated, but instead looked like art. It is as perfect and beautiful as a product, especially the skin on the surface, which shines like gold and jade. Everyone looked sideways and exclaimed after seeing it. But what's even more shocking is, ding, 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 ding. The wind curtain was torn apart and turned into countless fragments, which shot out like pear blossoms in a rainstorm, creating deep cuts and ravines on the marble floor. However, these sharp fragments collided with Su Chen's smooth body in the center of the wind curtain. On the skin, there was a sound like the collision of metal, clanging, clanging, and sparks flying. The appearance of this scene not only made Zhongfeng's eyes widen and his face full of astonishment, but also made everyone in the audience open their mouths with expressions as if they had seen a ghost. Old housekeeper. Is the school's mock exam over? Inside the city lord's palace. In the living room of a spacious luxury villa. The old housekeeper, who was wearing a tuxedo and a neatly combed mustache, was sitting on the sofa in the living room with his back straight, drinking black tea and watching the live broadcast of the mock exam of the number 1 middle school on the opposite TV. At this moment, the live broadcast room was showing a scene of Su Chen being trapped in a tornado. But also at this time, the smartwatch in the old housekeeper's hand made a sound. That was the call from Lang Ruyu. The old butler put the black tea on the table, raised his wrist and responded slowly. No, the final ranking battle between first and second place is now underway. Miss, what's the situation over there? I'm calling you now. Did something happen during the process of absorbing tears of the deep sea? No, it went well. In a dark retreat room. There was air conditioning and white mist. The ground is covered with blue ice crystal frost, and the walls and ceilings are already covered with large or small ice crystal milk pillars. The cold air wafts around, biting your bones. The -30-degree temperature label hanging on the wall of the closed room has already been frozen. However, even under such extremely cold temperatures that dripping water could turn into ice, there was a drop of dark blue liquid exuding a lustrous luster on the icy milk column condensed on the ceiling, dripping down the milk column. Tick-tock, liquid dripped into the tub. There was a crisp sound of falling into the water. The water splashes and ripples sparkle. In this extremely cold retreat room, there was actually a tub of dark blue liquid that was not frozen. Tears of the deep, harvested from the depths of the Arctic Blue Sea. Located about 30,000 meters below the Blue Sea, it is an extremely cold substance that exists in a liquid state. It only takes one drop to turn a 10,000-meter radius into a world of ice and snow. It is a treasure belonging to the rank 5 level. Worth $1 billion. Yes, $1 billion per drop. At this moment, Lang Ruyu was soaking in such a vat of tears from the deep sea and talking to the old housekeeper. Her delicate and beautiful face looked even more cold and dusty in this environment. Her eyes seemed to have become deeper and deeper blue, and her long light blue hair seemed to have begun to turn darker blue. Her snow-white skin and bathing the dark blue liquid medicine in the barrel complements each other and exudes an alluring luster. In fact, she asked the old housekeeper to prepare this for her at first, intending to try it by sucking only one drop. However, she did not expect that the deep blue tears matched her cold moonwalker talent very well, and there was no risk at all in refining it. The only thing required is digestion and absorption. So she simply took out all the tears of the deep sea that her father had prepared for her and prepared to absorb them all in one go. It was estimated that it would take 2 or 3 months, just in time for the college entrance examination. But this process might be a bit boring, so I remembered about the mock exam and asked about it a little bit. Of course, Lang Ruyu didn't care much about the mock exam itself. What she cared about was, how is Su Chen doing now? Has he been eliminated a long time ago? Hearing from the old housekeeper that it was now the final match between the first and second place, Lang Ruyu said casually without thinking too much. However, to Lang Ruyu's surprise, the boss did not answer immediately after hearing this question. Instead, after a moment of contemplation, he glanced at the tornado roaring in the live broadcast room before answering. Miss, something unexpected happened with Su Chen. Accident. Lang Ruyu was slightly surprised. Yes, miss. Then the old housekeeper briefly explained to Lang Ruyu Su Chen's performance in the mock exam. Oh, Lang Ruyu had a curious look on her face. Old housekeeper, please transfer the live broadcast to me. It just lets me kill some time. But, glancing at Su Chen who was still trapped in the tornado in the live broadcast room, the old housekeeper hesitated for a moment, but then seemed to have figured out something, shook his head and laughed. Really, what am I worried about? Let's make it bloody if it gets a little bloody later. We're not showing the young lady a naked man. The old housekeeper transferred the live broadcast. And that was after the old butler clicked the forward button. Roar. It was accompanied by a sound like a dragon's roar. The tornado that occupied most of the screen in the live broadcast room suddenly collapsed, and Su Chen's figure emerged from it. Countless wind blade fragments that were enough to easily cut an incision on the marble floor were scratched on Su Chen's body, but their skin was not even scratched. Only the sound of continuous metal collisions came. The appearance of this scene. The students in the audience were completely shocked. Me, Chu, what the hell? Why can't wind blade hit him? Why nudity? Even the marble floor was easily cut through. Is his skin harder than marble? Isn't it possible, or is it that in the past few days, Su Chen secretly became a reformer behind our backs? Why nudity? It shouldn't be. How can a human being be transformed so quickly? In addition, the school will review it in advance. If Su Chen had carried out human body transformation, we would have known about it a long time ago. Then why can't Windblade penetrate? By the way, why naked? Quote. All around, whether it was Wang Hao, Sun Chang, Zhao Xiaoya, Zhao Gang and others below the ring, as well as a group of big shots on the left and right viewing platforms, they all couldn't help but start a noisy discussion. Impossible. This is impossible. How could Windblade not be able to cut you? The expressions of the students who were watching the battle were all shocked, but the most shocking one was Zhang Feng. This feeling was as if he was playing the game with his most proud silk. I spent a long time fighting the boss with Hua Xiao's combos. I thought that the copy boss would be taken away by me, but I found that I didn't break the defense. Not a drop of blood was lost. My mentality is almost broken. Facing Su Chen, who kept approaching. There was even a hint of fear on Zhang Feng's face. As he staggered back, he raised his hand and swung dozens more wind blades at Su Chen. But this time, Su Chen didn't even bother to hide. Except for one wind blade that wanted to attack his underwear, which was knocked away, the other dozens of wind blades were allowed to chop at him. In an instant, there was a clanging sound and sparks flying everywhere. Wind blade struck him. It could only press down slightly to create an insignificant gap in his skin, and after the wind blade shattered, the pressed skin bounced back. Just a negligible elastic deformation. The skin is still fair and smooth, not to mention bleeding, there are no wounds. Impossible. Impossible. This is impossible. This is impossible. How could it not break the defense? Hallucination. It must be a hallucination. Wind blade. Wind blade. Big wind blade. How big a wind blade? Zhang Feng shouted hysterically. As if his worldview had been shattered, he kept shaking his head wildly and roaring loudly, while waving wind blade attacks one after another in his hand. To Su Chen. However, Su Chen was so close. He casually patted the oncoming wind blade with one hand, taking pictures if he could, and it didn't matter if he couldn't. Not to mention that Zhang Feng collapsed after seeing it. The surrounding students who were watching were also extremely shocked and puzzled. Like Zhang Feng, they also had a deep doubt in their hearts. That is, why can't you break the defense? Zhang Feng's wind blade can easily cut through steel and concrete, but why didn't it break even a hair on Su Chen's body? It can't be that even a hair on Su Chen's body is harder than steel and concrete, right? Then isn't he the hardest man among us? Could it be that the whole body is covered with nanotechnology? But even if nanotechnology has a mimicry mode and can be transparent and invisible to a certain extent, it is not truly invisible after all. How can we not see clearly when we are so close? Besides, even if we can't see clearly, how can we see the boss above us clearly? Not even there. There is no nanotechnology at all. Different students such as Zhang San, Li Si, Xiao Er, Wang Wu, Mazi, and Brother Glasses all gave their own different guesses and opinions. But they all have flaws and loopholes and cannot convince the public. On the viewing platform, the principal and other class teachers looked at each other and shook their heads at the same time. They couldn't understand why the wind blade had no effect on Su Chen's body at all. Obviously, he has not awakened his professional talent and has not undergone any mechanical transformation, but he is still able to ignore the attack of wind blade. Did he practice some kind of golden Vajra untouched by evil magical skill? A group of big guys who couldn't figure it out set their sights on Su Chen's martial Dao teacher Zhao Yu. Although the probability is slim, in their opinion, Su Chen, who has no professional talent and no traces of high-tech transformation on his body, is able to ignore wind blade. This is probably the only possibility. The people's questioning gazes made Zhao Yu open his mouth, but he didn't know how to answer. The golden Vajra untouched by evil magical power pioneered by the 9 great forces of martial Dao, the great grandmaster known as the Flesh Bodhi in the Vajra temple, can indeed have the effect of invulnerability to spears and sabers. But this level of inheritance is basically a secret that is not passed down. I am afraid that only the core disciples of the Vajra temple can practice it, and even he can't access it. How did Su Chen come into contact with it? Besides, What is needed most for this type of horizontal training is watermilling skills, which are basically cultivated since childhood, but he clearly remembers that Su Chen was not like this 10 days ago. Although Su Chen had a very high martial Dao talent in his eyes 10 days ago, he admired it very much. But still a human being. It is still within the scope of human beings. But now, ever since the last game when I demolished a Gundam with my bare hands, I have stopped being a human being. He can't do it. He couldn't physically carry the wind blade like Su Chen. So don't look at me, I don't know either. Zhao Yu felt restless and his scalp was numb when he saw everyone's probing eyes. He turned to look in the direction of Zhao Qian, preparing to ask Zhao Qian for help. But just at this moment, bang, under the gaze of everyone, Zhao Qian slammed the table and stood up. Her eyes trembled and her voice moved. Even though she had already guessed in her heart, when the facts actually appeared in front of her eyes, she still couldn't help but cry out in unbelievable shock. Skin is jade. It's Pai Ruyu. Pai Ruyu. Zhao Yu, who understood what this was, suddenly shrank his pupils after hearing these 3 words. Then he looked at Su Chen again, with a look of understanding on his face, and said something with trembling lips. No wonder. No wonder. It turns out to be skin like jade. Pai Ruyu. The 2 people from the ancient martial arts family knew what this meant, but the others were confused by their performance and didn't know why. Reporter Xiao Li asked everyone, "Excuse me, Law Enforcement Officer Hatsune, what do you mean by Pai Ruyu? Is it because of Pai Ruyu that classmate Su Chen is able to carry the wind blade without any physical injuries?" In front of the camera, Zhao Qian took 2 deep breaths before calming down. He turned his complicated eyes away from Su Chen and slowly explained to the camera. As we all know, martial Dao's cultivation is most about talent. The real martial Dao prodigy has the ability to leapfrog and fight. Some people are born with supernatural powers and can lift the cauldron. Some people have thick bones and are unparalleled in offense and defense. Some people have clear meridians and have no impurities in their bodies, and some people have photographic memories and extraordinary talents. On the basis of the history of the past 5,000 years, these martial Dao geniuses have left a profound mark in the history of our Kyushu. They are the talents that our ancient martial arts world can never get around. Over the long years, our ancestors have summarized and roughly divided all martial Dao talents into 9 major areas based on their human body composition. Among them, the 9 talents that stand at the top of all martial Dao talents are what we call them. Make martial Dao Ju Ju Tian. They are skin like jade, bone glazed, flesh elephant, blood phoenix, ape king sinew, dripping marrow, 5 elements of internal organs, innate qi, and clear brain. These 9 martial Dao talent owners are all rare once in a century. If the king does not see the king, there will only be one person in his generation. Once he appears, he is basically an invincible figure at the same level and is called the ultimate. The 9 Great Grand Masters of the current Martial Dao Alliance are called the 9 Ultimate Great Grand Masters, and they are called the Ultimate Great Grand Masters. It is precisely because of this. There are only 9 Great Grand Masters in the world. Wow! Zhao Qian's revelation of the secret about Guwu caused a huge uproar at the scene. Excellent Great Grand Master, I know. In the rolling barrage in the live broadcast room, a netizen nicknamed Brother Understanding appeared again and gave everyone a little additional explanation. Generally speaking, the pinnacle of martial Dao, Great Grand Master, can only correspond to rank 4 awakeners. But I heard from my father that the Great Grand Master has the power to compete with rank 5 experts. He can leapfrog the ranks and fight. He is also one of the most powerful people in the rank 5 field. It can even be said that the ultimate Great Grand Master is completely in another realm and cannot be judged by common sense. The skin is like jade. The description of this martial Dao's supreme talent in ancient books is, the skin is like gold and jade, like silk and glass. It becomes strong when it encounters strength, and becomes hard when it encounters force. It is both hard and soft, capable of both offense and defense. After it is fully awakened, it can invulnerability to spears and sabers, invulnerable to water and fire, cold and heat. He is a truly rare martial Dao wizard in a century. Once he appears, he is destined to be an invincible figure in the same situation as martial Dao. It is the object that the 9 major forces in the martial Dao alliance are competing for frantically. Brother Dong's speech was a little excited. People seemed to be able to see through his speech that there was a wealthy man from the Martial Dao Alliance on the other side of the screen. The young master, with his face flushed and excitedly looking for the phone, was preparing to inform his elders. Are you such a dick? A once-in-a-century Martial Dao genius. Brother Understanding's detailed explanation not only shocked netizens in the live broadcast room, but Su Chen's classmates at the scene even exclaimed in unbearable surprise. Su Chen is a Martial Dao genius that is rare to see in a century. At the same time, Wang Hao, Sun Chang, Zhao Gang, Zhang San, Li Si, Wang Wu, pockmarked, pot-covered, bald, muscular, glasses and so on. Everyone's expression became extremely complicated at this moment. It's like someone suddenly told you that your inconspicuous classmate next to you is actually a hidden billionaire. TMD, everyone is a human for the first time, why is it that you are a once-in-a-century person? Although it is said that in this era, Martial Dao has declined and it is the world of professional awakeners, but this kind of mentality will inevitably arise. Besides, Brother Dong has explained it to them clearly before, the top Great Grandmaster is comparable to the rank 5 strongman. And rank 5 is not weak. In this era, rank 7 is already the strongest. There are 9 sovereign clans plus 1 emperor clan. There are only 10 rank 7 strongmen in the entire Jojo land, which can be counted on 2 hands. The strength of rank 5 is already the first echelon of strongmen in Jojo. Leng Wudi, the mayor of Baiyun City, is only rank 4, but he can manage a city like Baiyun City with a population of over 1 million. His power is obvious. Many people who have reached the A-level professional level may not be able to become rank 4 in the end, let alone rank 5. So, compared to Su Chen, are we still the waste we were in the past? The sudden words of the glasses brother made all the students at the scene, including Wang Hao and Sun Chang, silent. Especially Zhao Xiaoya. At this moment, she looked up at the handsome boy who was shining in the sun on the stage with her eyes, and she didn't know what she felt in her heart. Skin like jade. Skin like jade. When Wang Hao, Sun Chang and others were silent because of self-doubt, Wang Hao's cousin, the head teacher of Class 1, Wang Meng, on the viewing platform, murmured a few words, turned his head and looked at Zhao Qian, asking curiously. Pai Ruyu's talent alone is so powerful that it is enough to make a rank 4 Great Grandmaster and a rank 5 Awakener in the Counter-Strike. What if one of them has all the Martial Dao talents? What would be the result? Hearing this, Zhao Qian turned around. She immediately looked at Wang Meng as if he were a fool. 9 talents, rare once in a century. Since ancient times, kings have not met kings, and only one person will appear in the same era. Only in the Great Change 500 years ago, the world of Kyushu changed, luck was turbulent, and 9 top talents appeared at the same time, blocking the catastrophe at the beginning of the era of universal awakening. Otherwise, why do you think there are 9 top Great Grandmasters in the same era now? One top is already on the top of a lonely mountain, and 2 tops are not seen together. The rarity of the talent of the Martial Dao 9 tops is the same as the SSS level talent profession in the eyes of the awakeners for the martial artist. Do you think a person will have 2 SSS level talents at the same time? Zhao Qian looked at Wang Meng like a fool, which made Wang Meng a little embarrassed. He smiled awkwardly and scratched his head. When he was about to say that he was actually just asking for his nephew Wang Hao, Zhao Qian suddenly retracted his look at the fool, and turned his eyes to become a little respectful and said slowly. Actually, it is not impossible. Zhao Qian suddenly said this sentence. Not only did Wang Meng freeze, but the other people around him, including the audience in the live broadcast room, pricked up their ears. Under the gaze of the people, Zhao Qian looked at a certain direction of Jojo and said respectfully. Martial Dao Juhuation. Now Juhue has it. Do you know where the sky is? In the past, when the era of national awakening had just arrived, countless ferocious beasts emerged from the secret realm out of thin air, countless and endless, causing great trampling and devastating blow to human civilization. Even the uninitiated wild boar king can withstand bullets without getting hurt due to its rough skin and thick flesh. Not to mention the higher level ferocious beasts such as rank 1, rank 2, rank 3, etc. mixed into this endless tide of beasts. For these ferocious beasts that can easily destroy a city, considering the human civilization at that time, thermal weapons cannot cause much damage to it at all. Even against beast kings of rank 5 or above, even forbidden weapons such as nuclear bombs have little effect. It is conceivable how human civilization has been subverted under the leadership of these beast kings. According to incomplete statistics, the disaster at the beginning of the era of national awakening 500 years ago led to the destruction of at least 100 small countries in the world. Even those big and powerful countries suffered extremely heavy losses, and their land area was greatly reduced, especially the cherry blossoms. The country was about to be destroyed at that time. If those ferocious beasts, the Beast King, were not restricted by certain rules and could not go out of a certain area during that period of time, otherwise there would be no such thing as Sakura country now. And it's at this moment when this kind of national disaster strikes, when every country in the world is facing a devastating blow. Our Kyushu suffered the least damage among all the surviving countries. Do you know why this is? Zhao Qian's voice slowly sounded in the field. I know. A voice sounded behind him, and Li Min, Wang Hao's homeroom teacher in class 3, stood up. He was a middle-aged old man with pale temples. He faced the camera and spoke in a deep voice. The era of national awakening has arrived, and Kyushu has entered a new chapter. Students who have received 9 years of compulsory education should have a general understanding of this period of history. In our textbooks, we only use one sentence to describe the darkest period in the early days of national awakening. The martial artist group hidden under the surface world civilization, under the wise leadership of the Emperor clan and the 9 sovereign clan, led us Kyushu to block the darkest moment in the initial stage of the era of national awakening and enter a new chapter of the era. Single quote. Just a few brushstrokes and not much mention. Quote, when I was in school, I preferred to study history. Later, when I was in college, I consulted historical materials and learned in detail about the glory of the martial artist during that period. At that time, there was a ferocious beast called cholera, and mankind's backward thermal weapons could not pose a threat to it at all. The dangers we faced in Kyushu were no different from those faced by other countries. But the difference is that in that critical moment, in our 9 states and 9 places, there are ancient martial arts families hidden in the inner world. The hidden sects have taken the initiative to stand up. Headed by the 9 great Grand Masters of the 9 major forces in the current Martial Tao Alliance, they each guard one state and control the Beast King Beast Tide. Blocked outside the city. Think about it, at that time, the era of national awakening had just arrived, and even the rank 1 professional awakeners had not yet appeared. However, 9 great Grand Masters who are comparable to rank 5 awakeners have appeared one after another in our Kyushu. What an advantage this is at the beginning. It is precisely because of this that our Kyushu has become the country with the least impact and damage when the era of national awakening comes, and stands tall in the world. At the top, that's it, Miss Zhao Qian. Quote. As he spoke, Li Min looked at Zhao Qian. Some other experts and scholars who had studied the history of ancient books also nodded at this time, and as far as they knew it was the same. However, Zhao Qian nodded first, then shook his head and continued. That's true, but it's not enough. At the beginning of the national awakening era, there were beast kings with strength comparable to rank 5, and even beast sovereign of rank 6 appeared, coupled with endless waves of ferocious beasts to attack. Even though we have the supreme great Grand Master in Kyushu, it is still not enough to prevent the impact of such a vast era. The reason why our Jojo was able to sustain the least damage under such a huge impact, and even the territory of Jojo is still intact, is not as close to being destroyed as the Sakura country. More than half of the reason is because of that senior who took action. That senior? Which senior? Everyone was puzzled, and they didn't know who Zhao Qian was referring to. Zhao Qian looked into the distance and said with reverence. Longhu Mountain, Tianxi Mansion, Old Tianxi. In the early days of the National Awakening era, the reason why my Jojo was able to sustain the least damage and not lose an inch of territory was that the Old Tianxi went down the mountain. It was the Old Tianxi who walked on the land of Jojo. Kill all the beast kings and beast sovereigns that came in the early days of the Awakening era in a single shot, and wipe out all the demons. Without the command of the Beast King Beast Sovereign, the Beast Tide would naturally be a pile of loose sand and no longer exist, so my Jojo became the biggest winner in the National Awakening era. Impossible. Before Zhao Qian finished speaking, someone immediately denied it loudly. Beast King is fine, but Beast Sovereign is comparable to rank 6 awakeners. In the early days of the Awakening era, how could anyone be able to kill rank 6 Beast Sovereign? Rank 6 A strength is still well-deserved apex level powerhouse now. Martial Dao is only rank 4 Great Grandmaster at the highest. I can accept that the top Great Grandmaster can fight rank 5 at rank 4, but you can't say that the old Taoist priest can fight rank 6 at rank 4. Don't treat people as fools, okay? Zhao Qian ignored the fool. She just turned her head to look at Wang Meng and asked. So now you understand what the martial Dao Zhuhuation means. The Zhuhui refers to the 9 top Great Grandmasters of the time. And Tian refers to the old Tianxi on Longhu Mountain. It is rumored that the old god has 3 unique talents, 3 top martial Dao talents. I don't know which 3 they are, but just having 3 top talents is called rare in 1,000 years, and the top reaches the sky. You ask me if it is possible for one person to gather 9 martial Dao talents at the same time. It is possible. Zhao Qian gave a positive answer, but sighed deeply. If it is possible, how could martial Dao be eliminated by the times and decline to this point? Although she ignored the man's barking, she also understood people's thoughts on the decline of martial Dao in this era, so after saying this, Zhao Qian was also a little depressed. What if such a person really appeared, who possessed the 9 martial Dao talents at the same time? Someone asked behind him, and Zhao Qian did not turn back to confirm, but just murmured with a look of reminiscence. 3,000 years ago, there was a senior named Yuan who was good at fortune-telling before he passed away. If you don't see the old master for 1,000 years, you won't see the spirit ascension for 10,000 years. This sentence or this prophecy has been secretly preserved in the ancient martial arts world for 3,000 years and has been passed down to this day. And now, the old master was born 1,000 years ago in response to the prophecy, but where is the spirit ascension? Martial Dao 9 talents to the heaven. It is said that if someone can possess the 9 martial Dao talents at the same time, he can break the bottleneck of martial Dao, break through to a new field above the Great Grandmaster, and raise the entire martial Dao civilization to an unprecedented height to the sky. Spirit ascension. Wow, Zhao Qian's words caused a commotion in the scene. Spirit ascension. There are gods in this era. The strongest person in the world today is the rank 7. It is rumored that the god is the supreme rank 9. Martial Dao can be the spirit ascension. Doesn't that mean that the martial spirit ascension who is predicted to never come out for 10,000 years has the potential to become the rank 9 god? Such exaggerated rhetoric. Some people opened their mouths to refute. But think about it. The history of Kyushu from ancient times to the present, the martial Dao road of Kyushu, lasts for a total of 5,000 years. 10,000 years are only half the past. In today's era of national awakening, martial Dao has already withered in the past 500 years. It has lagged behind the times and is about to be eliminated. In another 5,000 years, whether martial Dao can still exist is probably a question mark. What about spirit ascension? Even if the prophecy is true, the son of the prophecy will not be born. After thinking of this, although everyone felt that what Zhao Qian said was exaggerated and seemed to be bragging, no one denied it. Zhao Qian seemed to understand this. So after finishing speaking, she lowered her beautiful eyes and sighed softly. Not good. Su Chen, be careful. At this moment, Zhao Yu, who was paying attention to the situation in the arena, suddenly exclaimed. Everyone turned their heads quickly. Do not come. Do not come. You monster. Ah, in the arena. As Su Chen continued to approach, Zhang Feng seemed to have collapsed in his heart, crying and howling. The wind blade in his hand gradually became unable to be swung. He just waved his hands in the air randomly, looking crazy, and his mental state was shocking. Worry. Calm down. Su Chen came to Zhang Feng with a speechless face. He didn't know why Zhang Feng was so frightened by him. I just want to borrow your anima clothes to wear. Nothing else. After a little explanation, Su Chen reached out and grabbed Zhang Feng. And it was at this moment. Jia. Su Chen, you have fallen into a trap. How could I, Zhang Feng, be scared out of my wits by you? Scared out of my shadow. Nisunai. A ferocious yet cheerful smile suddenly appeared at the corner of Zhang Feng's wailing mouth. The silver watch on his left wrist instantly turned into running water. Like a silver snake, it flowed from his wrist to his palm in an instant, turning into water. A silver short-edged dagger took the opportunity to stab Su Chen in the neck. It's a nano sword. Su Chen, be careful. On the viewing platform, Zhao Yu, who noticed this, quickly reminded him loudly. Everyone's eyes turned around. The silver-white dagger was as smooth as a flowing blade, with a sharp tip, shining with a penetrating luster in the sunlight. I originally bought this nano sword specifically to deal with Sun Cheng and Wang Hao. Who would have thought that those two losers were eliminated by you halfway? I thought I wouldn't be able to use it, but I didn't expect that you would have a taste of it now. This is all because you forced me, Su Chen. The pretense of madness and fear in Zhang Feng's eyes receded. A fierce and bloodthirsty light suddenly appeared in his eyes, and he laughed ferociously. Jia, Su Chen, I don't care about your skin like jade. What a rare martial Dao genius. I don't believe you can stop my nano sword. Let me cut you in half at the molecular level. The silver-white nano sword moved through the air, as if there was an invisible vibration, and it came out from the nano sword. Before it touched the place where it passed, the naked eye could see that the air in midair was split into two halves. Buzz. Su Chen's eyes widened, and he vaguely seemed to hear the ultra-frequency sound coming from the vibration of billions of bioalloys in the nano sword. At this moment, the distance between the two was only half a step, and Zhang Feng's sudden sneak attack. It was difficult to hide, but Su Chen had no intention of hiding. Well done. Just let me see the upper limit of Pai Ruyu. His eyes shone brightly, he grinned, and became a little more mad. Without retreating, he stepped forward and stepped on the ground. His fingers spread out in midair to catch the nano sword with his bare hands. Accompanied by a harsh sound of gold and iron clashing. The blood suddenly appeared. Jia. The bright red blood was reflected in his eyes, and a bloodthirsty smile appeared on Zhang Feng's lips. You deserve it, Su Chen. You still dare to pick it up with your hands. Do you think the lethality of the nano sword is just a joke? It vibrates tens of thousands of times per second, which is enough to cut off most objects in the world at the molecular level. Let me cripple one of your hands today. Then let me know. Don't think that you can be arrogant because of the martial Dao wizard who is rare in a century. After all, this world still belongs to our era of awakened ones. And you, the remnants of the old era. Either bow to us and admit your mistakes, or go back to your tombstone. Zhang Feng roared loudly and exerted force in his hand, trying to cut off Su Chen's palm. But at this moment, Zhang Feng's ferocious face suddenly trembled, his eyes trembled incredulously, and he felt as if he had taken a handful. The blunt knife cuts on the non-Newtonian fluid, and it obviously feels like it can be cut in two with one cut. But after cutting through the surface, it feels like it is impossible to go further if you want to go further. As the full name of the polymer oscillating ultra-frequency nanoscale bioalloy sword. Well, I remember it. In the future, I will be careful with this kind of weapon until I have perfected the body tempering technique. Dark red blood flowed down the blade of the nano sword. Su Chen lowered his eyes and stared at the dripping blood, and his plain voice sounded from above. Zhang Feng raised his head. He looked at the nano sword that was buzzing in Su Chen's hand and could not move at all no matter how much force he exerted, and he suddenly remembered something in a daze. I heard that Su Chen took drugs and seemed to be a high-level martial artist. Physical fitness, vitality and blood values are twice mine. Bang! Before Zhang Feng had much time to think, he felt the world spinning in front of him and a strong wind howling in his ears. A dull thud sounded on the ring. Using the nano sword as a fulcrum, Zhang Feng was thrown heavily onto the ring by Su Chen's backhand. The gravel cracked and rubble flew. The nano sword jingled out of his hand, and Zhang Feng's back hit the marble floor hard. He couldn't help spitting out a mouthful of blood under the powerful impact. But what really frightened him was this. Above, Su Chen raised one foot and stepped on his head. Don't want. Zhang Feng shouted in fear. He had also experienced Su Chen's power just now. The force of this kick was more than 10 tons, and it would 100% crush his head like a watermelon. Help, Brother Chen. I was wrong. I didn't want to kill you just now. Ah, boom. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.